Why is the president saying that pardon? Why is the president saying that inflation is worse everywhere but here?
Because what we have seen across the globe, first of all, inflation is a global challenge, as we have said. It is caused by clearly the pandemic, this once-in-a-generation pandemic that we are coming out of, and also most recently the war that Putin started in Ukraine that has caused inflation as we look at food and as we look at gas prices. So if you look at globally other countries, and if you look at where we are economically, when you think about the Group 7, the G7, we are in a much stronger place than we are economically than the rest.
We recognize different ages for different purposes. We recognize 18 for the draft. We recognize 16 for driving in some states. We recognize 21 for drinking. So we recognize different ages for different purposes. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could I have a second to engage that?
Certainly. I'll yield to the gentleman from Kentucky.
Would the chairman join me in co-sponsoring a bill to raise the draft age to 21?
No.
But the chairman feels that their brains aren't fully formed at 18, 19, and 20.
The research does indicate that in certain respects, but the Selective Service needs, I mean, if the country needs people, it needs people.
It needs people.
This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Welcome back to another night of Stick with Koolfrogg. I do have Mr. Voice with me at the moment. I'm assuming AmericaShirts will be here as soon as he possibly can. Let's give him a little bit of time. Everybody go ahead and chant him out. Come on, AmericaShirts. Where are you, AmericaShirts? Let's say hi to everybody in chat real quick. Let's see, who do we have here? We got Susie, we got California Princess, Nicholas Taylor's with us, awesome. Toybox Brain, how's it going, brother? Ouroboros, Divinity's in the house. Barton Bella. Wow, we got quite a group tonight. It's quite interesting. Germs, how's it going, brother? Well, I'll tell you what right now is I actually have Mr. Voice here. Mr. Voice is going to actually hold a conversation with us for most of the night. I really don't know how long he plans on actually sticking around, staying around, whatever he can. It could be an interesting night. I did change software so everybody understands I'm no longer using Restream. Fuck off, Restream. I'm actually using StreamYard. I got myself tied to the YouTube side. Not going to actually stream to the Twitch side. I'm going to actually drop that just because eventually once you actually get too far, they don't like sharing information from one side to the other. I thought I had myself set up correctly to stream to Rumble, and it seems as though as I'm having an issue with that right now, it says that it's not actually there. As soon as that's actually fixed, we'll actually continue. AmericaShirts is messaging me over on the Discord side saying he's having issues getting in here. Let's see if I can't send him a better link and see if we can't try that again. How's it going, Mr. Voice?
Oh, it's actually a lovely night. How's it going, everyone?
He's saying that he wants him to join YouTube to stream. I think he has the wrong link. Let's see if I can't get him another link and see if we can't fix that for him. I'd really like him to actually be here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's see if he actually can come in here. And I don't know if that's going to do anything different, but we'll see.
So,
there's
how's
more
it going
people
tonight,
rolling
everyone?
in.
I hope everyone is doing well tonight. Yeah, please send him a link. Each and
Hello,
every
M.
one.
Schwartz. Hello, Mad Hats. Hello, KBCS. Hello, Tom Gillis. Hello, Short Order Cook. Wow. We got quite a group here already. It says there's 15 people watching us. So what makes you actually want to come on this show and hold a conversation with me?
Well, I sit and listen to a lot of people conversate. And to be quite honest, the main thing that the main thing that draws attention is points of view, things that connect people together, or shared points of view. And that's something that we lack in today's time, especially thinking about the topic for tonight. There was a time, like for instance, when the binding cords of the Constitution were written, the 13 original states, all of those people agreed together on the Constitution. They agreed together. It wasn't a debated thing very hard. They all shared the same point of view. And where we're at today is people don't agree because of the misstrued points of views and the non-taught point of view based on the Constitution. To hear people articulate, to hear you talk in your show, I appreciate your show. If you weren't saying things that I didn't like, I would avoid it like the plague. So I appreciate hearing well placed thoughts where it matters.
That's so. As you're actually telling me all this or whatever, I get down and I start. Germs actually says, yeah, read the Federalist Papers. That was actually what I was thinking of actually doing for my local site. It was actually reading each one of the Federalist Papers for each episode or whatever, and maybe do that once a week or whatever, just so everybody actually has a reason to go over it and actually subscribe on the local side. There is somebody that's actually paying for a paid subscription right now on there. And I really want to produce something for them. So
right, and just to say, I've seen a comment roll up where it actually says that those points of view, those comments, those thoughts weren't published. That's not accurate. I promise. Every writer concerning the Constitution, every writer concerning the Federalist Papers, all of them had articulated thoughts that were wrote down.
Oh, yeah, they published the Federalist Papers to be distributed all throughout the states. They had all the citizens read it. I mean, all the citizens of the states would read it before it was ratified by those states. And then
everybody welcome AmericaShirts.
And there was also, as well as the Federalist Papers, there's also the Anti-Federalist Papers. And the Anti-Federalists in the Constitution, the one guy, George Mason, brought about the amendments process to the Constitution. Well, excuse me, not the amendment process, but the Fifth Amendment.
Right.
Or, excuse me, the Article 5. God.
Article 5, right.
Right. And so he was an anti-federalist, and he was very right on the, well, not him specifically, I guess, but like the Anti-Federalist Papers, they were very right on the courts, I would say. But, that's why we do have the amendment process and why there is an Article 5 that there is an option of a convention of states. But yeah, to the chat that was there, yes, it was published for all the people to read. It was, and now modern day English, when you read that, you think to yourself, oh my God, that's crazy. But that was for your average everyday Joe. That's the Federalist Papers were written for the average individual to read, the average farmer that didn't really have, let's say, like a degree from an academy of some kind, right? They had their education system was a bit different.
Right.
But yeah, just to answer that to the chat, yeah, absolutely. It was
more
published
than that,
for everybody.
we've actually come a long way in 100 years from 1900, 1920 to where we're at 2000 to 2020, we've come a very long way. I remember in the 80s myself listening to people. There were a lot of people that worked everyday jobs that could not read a lick. They had initials like RL or CW because they could not write. They could not read. Now we live in the days of educated people that say they know a thing and fail to go back and read what was, because what was back then, they knew that everybody weren't educated. They knew that. But there was going to come a time when people would be educated and that they should be looking for that information. The Library of Congress and certain libraries are filled with a whole plethora of information, and it's there at people's fingertips. You can access any of it. It's public information. They are counting on the fact that you won't go and find it.
Yeah. But I would say to your initial statement, I think the sentiments there are kind of shared with a lot of people, because what it is, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like, I would rather have a debate with someone who's like a libertarian type than someone who's one of these crazy liberals who doesn't really believe in the idea of liberty, right? Like a libertarian person might sit there and say, oh yes, I believe in liberty, but they also kind of have this perspective of ultra, almost anarchistic, right? Where it's almost like there's
Right.
no government involvement. Whereas someone who might, for example, be more aligned with the principles laid forth in the Constitution itself and the people that wrote it might be like, okay, I understand your perspective on liberty, but we do need to have a government to protect the rights. And your perspective is a little bit off from that. I hear a lot of people in the modern day sit around kind of and debate with each other. And this is something that Dragon Man, I don't know if he's in the chat here or not, but this is something that he and I talked about a little bit because he asked a question about it, which was, not the anti-federals,
to touch on that point before you go too far there.
Okay.
The greatest thing about articulation and being able to speak to people, we have a lot of very nervous, very tedious, very uptight individuals that don't put themselves in enough situations in a conflict, and not conflict as in to say to fight, but in a conflict of battle between words, between ideas. People want to gather to themselves groups that agree with them or they agree with, where I've always been able to afford myself the opportunity to put myself in front of people that don't share my opinion, people that have other points of views and opinions and would not agree with me otherwise. The best way to learn how to battle people with words, to have an articulated conversation, when you hear other points of view, hear them out, actually hear them out and listen to what they're saying, or else we won't know how to counter that argument or say the right things. But they have to put themselves in that situation. We have a bunch of pansies, if I can say that word right. We have a bunch of people that are scared to death to actually commit to conversation. And when they think their point of view is skewed, where they don't really know, they get drawn up, they draw up, and they cur out very quickly. They're not confident, let me say that way, which makes a big difference in people's conversation.
Because they know they don't have answers. And so if you don't have an answer to a question, then you can't argue anymore. Your argument's done. And so to relinquish the argument and to say, yes, you're right, they don't want to say that. Yeah, right.
And that people don't always like the answers. They might not like the answers, but the truth only comes through answers, whether people like them or not. So these things matter. These things matter. A good one, a good point of reference, a very good point of reference here. A few years ago, I was watching a show. I'm going to read chat here in just a moment. I'm sorry. I stopped and I'm carrying on with a thought here. A few years ago, I watched a general show of a panel of, on the Tony Jones show in Australia, it was a debate between Jordan Peterson and 4 other people. One of them had the nerve to say to him, the idea was they put towards him that they didn't think that democracy should be democracy or representative democracy, that it should be, I'll think in a minute the way that it was the way that it was said, but they put it to him in a smart aleck question. There's a big concerning the topic tonight. There's a big difference in a democracy and a republic. And that's exactly what we're going to get to. And a lot of people aren't going to like some of the things said, but we need to take it in and hear it and go and find this information out. A full-blown democracy is total control of the government. A republic is a democracy from the bottom up that's all agreed upon and set into law, that the law is the governor of it, not groups of people or from the top down, government from the top down. No, it's from the bottom up. The people agreed together on the laws set forth. Now, where we're having the problem is they're changing the laws because people may or may not like them, which really misstrues it. When they're able to change the laws, then the Constitution becomes null and void, and they have every right to change it whether they like it or not. And that begins from the top down, which we don't need. Another thing we don't have is transgender politics. Okay, people want to be transgender or be whatever they want to be. That's fine. That's not the debate here. We don't have transgender politics. There are a lot of people that think that they can be liberal and conservative. There are a lot of people that think that they can be conservative Democrats, or no, you can't be. You can be a conservative, and Republicans came out of conservatives. But conservatives have stood strong in their place as conservatives for a long time. Liberals are on the other end of the scale, and out of liberals, we've seen rise up aristocrats, bureaucrats, Democrats, socialists, communists, autocrats. All of that is out of liberalism. That's one side of the argument versus conservatives, where the only thing that's come out of them is Republicans. You cannot be a Democrat and a conservative. The biggest lie standing in our face in the House today is Ted Cruz. He's a liberal Republican. That is a fucking lie. You cannot be that. But you can't tell these people, you can't tell them that. They believe that they can be. There's a big difference in some of these things, and that matters. They expect you to be stupid and not understand that.
And
please, somebody take it from me, because I'm gonna piss somebody off soon. I might. I don't want to.
That's why you're here, brother. That's why you're here.
I don't want to.
Say
and
what
it's an
you need to
interesting
say.
perspective, right? Because I was talking about, that wasn't yesterday, was it? Was it yesterday? It was that I was talking with a Super V. She came on towards the end. No, that wasn't yesterday. It was the day before. And she came on and she asked me what my perspective of liberals are. And I gave sort of like 3 classifications of these people. And I think that a lot of people on the ground, and I'm not going to address the politicians per se, but the people that are on the ground, normal everyday people, sort of have this idea of what, like, this sort of idealistic view of being a liberal, almost this JFK type of, oh, well, yes, we like, we can be Democrat, and then also, oh, we love like the civil rights movement and the Martin Luther King movement and all the rest of that. And like, and we can just like all come together in this kind of a way and sing Kumbaya. And they have this very high up perspective of this, to where it's not really, well, shall we say, real? Because you can't. Right. I mean, again, like JFK himself was an example of this, in my opinion. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why, they had to get rid of him, allegedly. Because as soon as he was gone, right in came the vice presidential guy, and his vice president, by the way, LBJ. He didn't even like him. He never wanted him around. And but LBJ never liked him either. So, but
Right.
and so like he was this like starry-eyed kind of character where he thought he could still hold on to this thing of like, oh, I could be a Democrat, like other people in his family were, on and on. But he thought he could come in and like change things. And then his brother, Bobby Kennedy, came out, thought he could change things and do things and whatever. And even his son, Bobby Jr., Bobby Kennedy, his son, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., still has that sort of perspective about himself where he loves America and he likes the idea of liberty, but he still has this dichotomy of like, I'm sort of a more liberal-esque type of person where if we can just get government health care, it's like, people, this does not work. But these people, again, they're very starry-eyed type individuals. They're not very, it's not to say that they're stupid, but it's a false dichotomy that they've created in their head where they can kind of hold on to both sides of this.
Well,
And
we deal with a lot of people.
It doesn't work at the end of the day. It doesn't work.
Right, right. We deal with a lot of people that have listened to either family or friends. They latched on to some people that they felt like, hey, these people are cool, or this is my group, and it's a group think. They rely on you to group up. That's why identity politics is such a big thing today. And it always has been, because they rely on you to do the group think, and that's articulated together as a group. But listen, there's individualism in that. You're an individual yourself, and it's not always good to latch on to someone else's ideas just because they sound. I mean, I might sound like I'm what you would want to hear, or somebody else what you'd want to hear, but I beg people to go and read the information yourself and figure out what you are, what you align with, what your values are, where you fit in, and then find those people out based on what you hear. Find those people that you relate to based on what you hear, and don't group up too much, but be open. Without the openness, John F. Kennedy wrote that in the speech, an awesome speech that he gave, where he very much said that we cannot live in a free and open society with fear, even though we call ourselves a free and open society. We are a private republic. Our judicial branch, our judges, not 12, our judges have really let us down. I'm glad that we've got some new ones in there, some fresh ideas, but they've really let us down in our privacy. A lot of people don't understand the nature behind third parties and the reading of it. But as a good point, when you leave outside of your house and you go into town and you take your money to the bank and you walk in the bank and you deposit your money in it, you have entered into a third party, which can be a frozen asset, and they can stop you and cut you off because your information is no longer private. And a lot of people don't know that because they don't read the fine print and know what the word means. So these things can be quite stressful at times. To read chat, you can be pleased with me or not pleased with me. That's fine. I'm Mr. Voice for now. I seen that question come up. And I'm very.
There seems to be a couple people that are guessing who you really are, just so you get where I'm coming from. There's a couple people that have thrown your potential other names out. I have no clue who you really are. All I know you as is Mr. Voice.
Well, I know that people like to be smart in that sense and type things out, and that's fine with me. I'm not a hidden person that way. That's fine. I'm really not. I wasn't just trying to come on anonymous, but it's a profile, and the spoken word has never been more important than it is in today's time, because we say that we're educated We say that we're educated, and people say that they see, meaning they perceive, they think. That's where sin remains. That's where things become strong, because they don't apply themselves to know better. I beg them to read. I seen a thing in the chat. I seen a thing in the chat about those that can't read. And I take pity on those people. And that's a compassion, not a pity, a compassion towards those people, to say things right to them in a kind manner at a good time, because of the fact that they can't read. I heard in my lifetime an old man tell me, those that can't read won't matter. Those that can read, most won't care. And those that can read and do care are drowned out by the other two. And that's hard. That was I took that in as a teenager, and that's never left me. That hurt, because I've met a lot of people in my life that can't read. Very smart people, but yeah. So we live in a time right now where people say that they're educated, and the lack of austerity, the lack of understanding could never be more disappointing.
Oh yeah.
Than
And
what
I
it
would
is.
even argue it's a redefinition of education. I mean, just because you have the title of, oh, I'm educated, or I have a PhD, or look at me, I have a piece of paper that says I have a degree. I mean, if you can't answer basic questions, you're not educated. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, but you're just trying to redefine, oh, look at me, I'm more educated than you, I'm more knowledgeable than you, therefore I'm
Right.
better than you, and I can make better decisions than you can. Well, no. Actually, no, you're not.
Actually, no. Right.
And that's
So,
this redefinition of what it means to even be educated, in my opinion. Because, I mean, I don't have a degree myself, but I have a plethora of books that I have purchased myself. I have different things. I mean, for God's sake, on the internet, you can download things. You could even listen to audiobooks for free. I mean, it's like information is out there everywhere. And as you said, if no one has any proper understanding of any of these topics that they claim to know so much about, I mean, you don't know the topic. If you don't have the understanding of it, you can't answer questions about it. You can't look at an argument that someone else is making and go, well, this is my perspective on it. Instead of just, again, as we were saying at the beginning, right? Well, they just get up and leave because they don't have a response, because they know they lost. They don't have a response to the question. They lost. And they just get up and walk away, and they just try to, and politically, they just try to force you to go along with it anyway, even though it doesn't work, or it's not true, or, hey, you know, that actually leads to kind of a tyrannical precedent for the government to have there. You know, you really want to go that route, you know, because that happened in this country, that happened in this country, and they just, you know, just tell you to shut up, because they don't actually have the understanding of the history. They don't actually have the understanding of the political perspective of it. They don't have, well, the history of politics. They don't understand the history of economics. They have no understanding of any of these things.
Right.
And yet, oh, because I have a degree, I can tell you. And again, so many people, they go and they, even if it's like for a 2-year degree at a university of some kind, or even a community college, they're like, oh, look at me, I'm so much better. It's like, well, what do you know? Have you read? I mean, like, I can pull out books that people that I was reading in high school, that kids that they were like, well, how do you know this? But yet, oh, they would pass math class with flying colors. It's like, well, you can memorize an equation, an algebraic equation, but you don't even know the history of your own people, of your own country, to preserve your own nation and not completely collapse your whole society into a hellish chaos. I mean, like,
right.
who really here is an educated individual? I mean, sure, I mean, eventually I might be able to do an algebraic equation, but I mean, aren't your priorities in your head a little bit skewed? Shouldn't you be actually wanting to understand things on a fundamental level, rather than just simply memorize things and spew it out at a teacher and go, yes, you did it right, and then, oh, look, I have a degree? Like, do you actually have a fundamental understanding of what went on? I mean, I can pull out books that people read in the educational system at the beginning of this country, when this country's educational, well, not system, but system of education, not the federally mandated system that we have today, where there's a book called The Lives of the Signers. These are the lives of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, is what it's what it's about. And you read that book, and it goes through the stories of the men that were the signers of the Declaration of Independence. I mean, even the Federalist Papers. I mean, hell, like kids, pardon my Portuguese, but kids in the freaking 9th and 10th grade, I think it was 9th and 10th grade, back like 100 years ago, they would read
We're
the Federalist
pardoning
Papers
your
that was
Portuguese
mandated in
for
schools.
frickin'? Are you kidding me right now?
Well, but,
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
let's touch on that for just a moment in education wise, because to speak on education, a lot of people don't understand and realize from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there were a lot of individuals in certain blue states that went through high school and come out of high school with degrees in things and were given to privileged, what's known as what all of these people now talking about privilege. Back then, real privilege was given because the information wasn't at our fingertips like the internet today, to be able to talk like this live and be able to share ideas across thousands of miles right now in real time, where in red states, a high school education wasn't much at all. And it barely got people a job. It barely got people opportunity because it was one-sided, if that makes sense. People that went to school in New York and certain other states, blue states, got a high school education and they come out with degrees behind them, which a lot of people don't realize that, but that gave them opportunity to go right in jobs. Now, let's look at how the education has changed, because come to the 80s, and it wasn't required to have a high school education to get a job in a basic labor field, common construction, or in the fields working. Come to the 90s, and a high school education became required. Come to 2000, you've got to have a degree, college degree. Come to 2010, you've got to have a degree and 2 years experience. The standard does keep going up. And yes, that's bringing people up. Yes, it is. But it's also cutting off a lot of people. Right. I know men that work factory jobs right now in production and hate their fucking job, hate their life, because that's all they can get. They've got 4-year degrees. Some of them's got master's degrees, and they can't get better opportunity.
Ben, they're still doing that. Yep, exactly.
So, Tin Tennessee says, can you repeat the book that you just referenced? The book is The Lives of the Signers, is what it's called. The Lives of the Signers. And it goes over that. The lives of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence, the men who signed it. Well, and to your point, that's creating a two-class system rather than a middle class.
Right.
It's creating a permanent upper class and a permanent lower class.
A permanent poor class, right.
And even too, for example, you were saying, like, well, somebody has a master's degree and they still can't find work because, of whatever. I mean, a lot of these degrees are just simply useless, and no one can use them because they're not practical at all in the real world. But if you get one,
ask AOC. Ask AOC.
Well, right. Right.
You bitch. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry. That was too much.
Well, right. I mean, she.
Damn bitch. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
She goes on and
she's
says
one
she
of
has
the
a
worst,
degree in economics, but she doesn't know anything about basic reality. Like, she can't even tell you. She goes to one of these places. I mean, I've never had a garbage disposal in my sink, but I know what one is because you visit someone's house, they might have one. You hear people talk about it, whatever. Like, she doesn't even know what it is or what it does. Like, what are you talking about? Like, do you I mean, look it up on the internet if you don't know. Like, why are you posting a video? Oh my God, what is this thing? I mean, just the level of stupid.
What's
and
up,
she's like,
JMK?
oh, I'm so educated. Oh, I'm so much better. Oh, I'm so fantastic. Oh, look at me. Like, you can't question what I have to say. I have a degree in economics. Like, really?
Hello,
You don't know
Gene.
anything.
There's an
Sup,
awful lot of
germs?
people with us. Just right now, there's about 38 people that are viewing us at this point in time.
Hello, Megan.
They're
Hello,
all
Parallax.
YouTube.
I'm sorry. Keep talking. I'm just saying hello to people. I've seen that a lot, and I didn't want
There's
to
a
talk
lot
over,
of people that
you
have
know,
come
so,
in, and
And
they seem to
I
be
do want to
sticking
speak
around.
to everybody. I do want to speak to everybody, and I'm not trying to avoid any of the chat. Really, I'm not. So I'm reading the chat, but the conversation should flow, and I'm not going to cut anybody off. And please,
Midnight
continue.
Toker, welcome.
Cool. But the thing with the college degrees too, just specifically, I mean, it's mostly anymore. It's mostly a scam and a fraud for most of the degrees that they want to give to people. Except for if you're a doctor or if you're a lawyer or if it's some specific thing that requires
Susie, how's it going,
that
dude?
kind of level of hands-on type education with something of that nature.
Hold that thought right there. I find, let me read this one comment from Forever. I find it interesting that in early 80s, I learned to program computers, but my kids knew nothing about computers except using Google to find things and using programs and gaming, but not knowing more. We stand in a level right here, right now, where that is gravely apparent. I know a lot of people that are suddenly coming up to the 10% and moving up to the 1% just because they sit in a fucking chair all day and do this, and they talk or they game or they sit and make licking sounds at their microphone and entertain people's fantasies. Okay, they entertain
Riding
people's
Pickle
fantasies.
Rick. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or they read a book or something, ASMR. I mean, this is, and it's working not to our benefit. It's benefiting a few. It is, but it's not. People are starving for information. People are starving to hear. And I mean, we eat food with our mouths, and that's for the health of our body. But our eyes and ears take in the exact same way, children. The exact same way, children. We take in with our eyes and ears, and those things we take in can make us healthy or sick. And we have a lot of individuals out there that are starving because they're feeding a fantasy instead of reality. We've got a lot of men and women out there that are feeding a fantasy of this woman. She wants, she's got her mind made up about this kind of man, and she's not fine. That's not reality. She's got a fantasy there, and there's no man out there to match that. We got a man that's got this fantasy, and there's no woman out there to match that fantasy. There's a lot of women out there that have the look of that fantasy, but then when they open their mouth and start speaking, everything changes. We've got a lot of men out there that match the look of that fantasy, but when those men open their mouth and start talking, everything changes. And relationships are falling apart faster and faster and faster. They don't last.
Megan
This
says,
is a problem.
Stop saying children.
But that's the way this government is viewing me and you and them and all of us as though we're children and we're not capable of handling our republic. They want us to need them to do the smart think, to do the decision making of the house, the spending of the money. No, it's time to grow the fuck up. It's time to take the matters into your own hands to be able to defend yourself verbally and physically if need be, but verbally is the main part. And they're calling us children. I don't want to call any of you children. We're all adults here. And I know some very smart individuals. North Carolina.
If there are any children out there, welcome.
Welcome.
Take it with a grain of salt and think about it for a few seconds, because everything that we're saying is actually the truth. You know, so you really seriously think about it for a few seconds.
I love America. This is the greatest place in the world, and I'll tell you why. I don't care how many countries do or don't like it. No, the United States has produced, and through sports, through college, through creativeness, through creation, through invention, we have some of the smartest some of the most talented, and we have produced the world's largest plethora of talent there fucking is today. That's not a joke, people. That's not a joke. We have produced a lot of very talented individuals, very smart, very capable. And it's getting sad to see that falling to the wayside because of people just letting things go.
Toy Box Brand says, "Me child, goo goo gaga."
That's what he's laughing at. I was about to say, just go ahead and throw up the chat that you're laughing at.
What's up, Jimmy? Good to see you, brother.
Oh, hey, there's Jimmy. What's up?
But they are. I don't want to be treated like a child. And I don't want anyone else to be treated like a child, but they are treating us like children, like we're incapable and incompetent. That's right. And they're dumbing us down to whatever. And
then they gaslight, and then they say, "Oh, you are children because we dumbed you down as children. Therefore, we now have the place of rulership over you." Like,
well,
no.
Look at who they're making the minorities. Look at who they're making. Not that they just are a minority by chance, or it turns out that way. No, they're making the minorities who they want them to be, and then they're dumbing the rest of the population down to match the minority, the least of us. Have you ever heard that saying? A team is only as strong as its weakest link. That's a real saying, and they're bringing us down to match who they determine and deem the minority, the least of us. That's a problem, because we're trying to lift those individuals up with the rest of us. The poor have never been richer. I mean, think about that. That's a real thing going on right now.
Yeah.
They hate us. They hate us because the poor have never been richer. The communists, the elites, depend on poor, dumb ass individuals to groupthink, collective up, and just obey.
When he says poor, dumb-ass individuals, he's speaking of those that sit there and think that we need a higher minimum wage. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard anybody say is we need a higher minimum wage.
And again, these are people that just don't understand.
Right.
Because they just don't get it. It doesn't click in their head that when you raise the wage, everything else goes up as well.
It's
they
just
don't
like
pay
government
attention
spending,
to it.
right?
Like,
Like, oh, we can just print off the money and it's okay. We'll just hand out tens of thousands of dollars. Like Biden, like, oh, we gave them $8,000. We gave people $8K for, the lockdown stuff, like whatever, like they'll be fine. It's like, that doesn't help anything. That deflates the value of the dollar itself. So the dollar that you just gave them is now worth less. I mean, this is math. But
and who is they?
People on the ground do not have more liberal type individuals do not have that baseline understanding of what math even is. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a mathematical genius. Like, this is just basic math. This is just basic economics. Like, you have to look at this in that way. If there's more of something, then the value becomes less. I mean, that's just how it works.
Well, I want to answer that one question I just seen several times scroll up through the chat, and it's rolling right on through. Who are they? Who are they?
Right, and then they call me Rose. Says,
let's just keep saying that.
Or my they. Right, it's whose they are you talking?
Let's just keep saying that, because it's a they term. It's a they term that can be thrown out there, and it's not determined by us or me. They, the elites, and this government are determining you. Not me determining you to say these groups, they're determining us. They've already called us deplorables. They are calling us out.
Right.
They're calling us January 6ers. The FBI right now, Project Veritas has leaked a document that proves and shows where the FBI is categorizing individuals as malicious groups that are extremists. because we have say against this government. I think that everybody should be skeptical of their government, skeptical of what's going on, and they should question every damn thing. That's the only way that we come to reasonable terms through situations like this. We're in a very hard time. This is the best time to be alive in history. And
Hello,
we couldn't
Robin.
be in a worse position than we are. I look at what happened here with Nancy Pelosi. There's a lot of controversy over this, her little trip, and that she took it in Air Force One. Now, I want everybody to know that, in my opinion, I think that they've collaborated that with China. I want everybody to know, I don't mind, but I think that they've collaborated that with them. I think that that's been talked about. General Milley made it clearly apparent that he would gladly tell China if anything was going to happen, he'd let them know first. Well, that means that they're talking and they're on talking terms, and this was done as a scare tactic to raise the alarms, the emotions, and the fears in people, so that if they decide to let a couple of bombs off or make some real threats, then they can go into martial law lockdown. And they got reason to do it because these threats are accurate. And I think it's all collaborated. I think they're all in it together, the Democrats. And the Republicans are sitting back. They're just as much guilty of it. I'm waiting on the law to kick in, because the whole Constitution is completely against what's going on. They gave up on the idea of death for treasonous acts. They don't do that anymore. They've taken away death penalty in so many ways. That's the one thing Bill Barr did that I could actually speak about. He did reinstitute the death penalty if states want it. But treasonous acts, they don't prosecute anymore. There's no more example. If these people actually had to watch politicians on the House floor fight for our fucking rights, because they're their rights too. They are their rights too. And to not see them take to the floor and fighting is beyond me. I'm beside myself about this. Now, I could rant big time about that. I'm not really going to go into that, but yeah, before we are put to the test of fighting and death, I think that we should see that on the House floor and on the Senate floor before it comes outside. That's just my opinion on it, but I would rather see them fight first. That way we know what we're fighting for and what side's what. Because let's see, who was it? Lester Maddox, that used to be the governor of Georgia, believed in free choice. He's the very person that you see the propaganda on the ballots and such, the propaganda of the donkey, the red, half blue, the donkey. And his very statement and words said, when I first made that donkey, I made the damn thing with 2 rear ends. He said, now I can do a lot of things with that donkey, but the only thing that donkey can do is mess up, screw up from here on out. And that motherfucker was right. He was right. As much as I disagreed with some of the things that he said, but Lester Maddox was, they sent the leftists down to him. He had to close up his shop. He believed he was a segregationist. If people by their free choice want to stay in their own little groups, this kind over here, these kind over here, if you want that by your free choice, he believed in you having your free choice based on our Constitution. Lester Maddox was quite a man. He met the leftists with axe handles. I remember that. These people have no balls anymore.
Madcore, I look forward to it.
It burns me.
See what we can do for you.
It burns me. And, people don't talk like this. They don't talk right anymore. They want to talk about anything except something hard, something difficult. Else, why would we talk unless it's difficult? People are used to having fun. That's great. We got some issues now. Please, y'all talk, gentlemen, please.
I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm not able to actually live stream to Rumble at the same time. I'm having an issue getting that actually connected properly. I had a stream key and everything all tied to it.
Special to Rumble. Did you do that?
Yes, I did. I paid the minimum to actually get that. Yeah, and for whatever reason, it's still failing. I really don't know why it's failing. If there's anybody that's out there that can actually help me out with that, explain how to actually get that tied correctly, how to get that stream key tied, I'd totally take your advice on that, because I'm sure there has to be somebody that knows how to get that to work. It's really confusing to me right now. So technically, we're only streaming to YouTube right now. This video will be uploaded to Rumble after we're done, so that it is there. But for whatever reason, I can't live stream to it. I wanted to actually shut this off after a while and actually just go over there for a few hours and open up the conversation a little bit more, because fuck Susan. And just saying.
Well, I'd like to give a really big shout out one time. Divinity Said has been making some really great meme videos and little things, clipping people. And I suggest to everybody to go by and look at her channel and view some of her content. It's really good stuff, and she's really creative with that. And that an awesome thing is going on right now, people. We have some really talented makers, creators, inventors that are putting things together in certain ways. And you've really got to be sharp-minded to actually understand what they're putting together and the reasons why. Such as the Pepe theme that was accused of for so long, and when people hold their thumb up and it's being called white supremacy, and they do the OK sign and all of these things, the twisting of narratives, you need to pay attention, really need to pay attention, because there's some sharp-minded people that are actually putting some things together.
There's Dragon Man. What's up?
It's worth having a look at and knowing what we're all facing and what's going around. So big shout out to content creators. That's why they're really hard pressing to start censoring. I don't know if anybody follows the Oxford Union. I follow the Oxford Union. I hate the damn thing, but I follow it, and I watch them take to the floor and debate and have arguments, because whatever happens over there comes over here. And if anybody doesn't realize that the Democrats that are in office, the socialists, that their ideas are already written out, everything's already gathered up, it comes from over there. It's European, it's socialist branded. Everything comes from the Oxford Union. We've been trying for 5 decades now. I myself, as a conservative, have been trying for 5 decades now to vote these people out of office, out completely.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't belong
Phil
here.
said it correct. The communists. We're trying to get the communists out of there. That's the issue.
And to this point, I think it's interesting in that. Well, I think to this point, it speaks to how people a lot of times see this. This is a bit of a false dialectic.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
To say that these people at the top, like a lot of these people, they're like, they're communists, and it's true, but the people that fund them are the people on Wall Street, the biggest quote unquote capitalists that there ever were. And so it's like there's this false dichotomy. There's this false dialectic that's created that, oh, well, you're either a capitalist or you're a communist, or that, like, well, if you're a capitalist, say, for example, not you in particular, not like, for example, like myself or you or Koolfrogg, but just to say in general, like, for example, like, as I said, like, oh, these are perceived as the biggest capitalists ever, right? Like, oh, they're on Wall Street. They're these giant, big mega corporations, right? The big billionaires, the big people like that, right? The Rockefeller types, it's like, oh, well, they're capitalist, right? If they didn't believe in capitalism, they wouldn't have the money they have. Clearly, if you say something bad about them or whatever, like, oh, the communists do, but it's a false dialectic. They're the ones that put them into power to overthrow, that then they come in and take the land or the money or the assets afterwards. I mean, this is true with every communist and socialist revolution.
That's
Every
right,
one of them
Minya.
have been funded by Wall Street people. I mean, this is the books by Anthony C. Sutton documents all of this clearly. The Yahtzees, the socialist revolutions in Europe, the communist revolution in Russia, all funded by Wall Street, all funded by the big banks in America, in Britain. They were all funded by, like, the British royal family even is involved in this, like the funding for some of these
Big
things.
time.
The big money, the big capital. Oh, they're the big capitalists. Oh, it's Bill Gates. I mean, he's the founder of Microsoft. How could he possibly? I mean, but these are all the people funding all of this stuff.
Right.
It's like this is this false dialectic of, oh, well, they're all communists. It's like, well, no, they're authoritarian. They're just using these communist dimwits to enact a revolution, create a centralized government, and then after that they come in and take over from there. I mean, that's the model. That's what they want. That's what's happened every time. I mean, look at communist China. All of their even Xi Jinping told Trump at the time, he says, you know, the middlemen take everything, and the middlemen are the people at the top.
Well,
it's
and
those
that's
people.
that's a big thing that they've taken advantage of, is the capitalism idea. They're trying to turn everybody against capitalism. It's not capitalism's fault. Capitalism is the good thing. Individualism is the good thing, but they're making them think that capitalism is the problem, so that they're grifting off of that to make the money themselves. Right.
So then you
good
don't
point.
make anything yourself. And that's the whole, it's this centralization of power. And I mean, even you look in World War II, and not a lot of people know this kind of stuff about World War II.
Hold on real quick. Barbara Vance says the commies are a huge problem, but so are the damn rhinos. They make tons of promises during elections, but then when they reach across the aisle, the thing is they are part of the communists. We have pointed that out several times.
But see,
that
this
there
is a
are
part of the
these
false
rhinos
dialectic,
that are out
right?
there that are actually trying to use our words against us and actually say, oh yeah, we'll do this, that, and that, the other thing for you, and then they don't. And it's these ones that are out there that are calling themselves Republicans that really aren't. It's these America First that we're looking at, that we want to actually be in that spot.
Right,
And
they call themselves.
Go ahead.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead, sure.
They call themselves of your side, right, of your ilk, right? But yet they don't go along with that. And why is that? Because they get paid by the same big money. It is the elites at the top. It is a revolution from the top down. It has always been. This has been the structure. This has been the format. This has been the formula that they've used, and this is what they want to do. This is a revolution from the top down. This is them trying to centralize absolute control over everything, over the markets, over everything. It's a combination of big business and state.
That's right, we can control that at the state level. You noticed how hard it's burned them here on the infant thing, the child thing, the baby thing, that it's taken out of the federal hands, the federal government's hands, and put back into the state's hands. And the state is where the power belongs, because it belongs more to the people to decide a thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shirts.
Yeah. But to speak of the rhino thing, right? It's like, I mean, the reason why they're rhinos, because, you know, Republican in name only. And it's not because they're secretly, like, they have secretly Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto tucked in their back pocket. They're not really communists. They're just paid opposition to the actual communist revolutionary people. But even they don't understand everything about communism themselves. But the things that they do, they want to support it. But it's like, but they're funded by all this big money. It's like, why does all of the capitalists want to get rid of capitalism?
Real
right?
quick,
It's like, but that's the thing.
Right.
It's this.
Let me address something from the chat there.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk prepping. I wouldn't advise that. I wouldn't advise that. Have one or the other, brother. Have one or the other, or friend. Let me say friend. I don't know which one that is, but let's say friend. Bourbon or vodka. Have one or the other. They don't mix well together. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't mix either one of those with anything.
Right on.
Just don't do it. Just
Just say no. Just say no.
It's all right to say no to certain things. Absolutely. Let's see here. Schwartz says, Koolfrogg, Americans need to realize the minute they put their hand out and take something for free from the government, they're allowing them to cut that hand off.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you is the sentiment there. I'm gathering, but no, what we're looking at is the snake eating its tail because we're allowing it. And the last thing they want us to do is actually become a militia. And a militia is not just a gathered group. It's not just a gathered group. No, these are individuals in their right mind that just so happen to have the same point of view. But any one of them you can single out and they'll tell you straight up why they have a problem with this. That's what they don't want to happen. That's what we're seeing for this committee that's going on right now concerning January. So don't think that's all over the target. That's all over the target. People don't want to believe that. And we're hearing The View and certain others speaking against these things. They're communists. They don't want you to have your point of view. And if they can take our guns away, then the mob will walk over us and silence the crowd. That's easier to do. If I've got if my First Amendment does not work because they don't want to listen, then I have my Second Amendment so that my life is not at stake. That matters. These things matter. They're in writing for a reason. And I don't want, it's not that I'm going to try and supercharge anybody, to rally anybody up like that. No, it's not a matter
Schwartz
of that.
came back on that and says, how did she say that? No, I meant they own the hand, which, it's pretty much the same deal.
Yeah. They own the hand and they're biting it in your face. It's terrible. I just read the report where they're trying to cut off China and stop them in certain ways from buying up in certain areas, farmlands, certain things. Bill Gates is doing a good job of this stuff, and we're letting it happen. It's not that we're just letting it happen, but they're swindling it right out from under us. It's bullshit. And it's hard to battle. It's hard to battle this, but now they're looking at us from the other side of the aisle, and they've got a talking point of it's for the children, and they're coming after our children, and they're saying things like this. Listen, there's a big difference between equal outcome, what they're pushing, the DIE program, diversity, inclusion, equity. Equity is the big word there. When you hear those three words, when you hear somebody say diversity, when you hear a politician say inclusion or equity, that should be a trigger. That's a red flag. I'm not a person for equal outcome. You want equal outcome? Ride by a fucking graveyard and look at it. Just ride by the graveyard and look at it. They're all diverse there. They're all included, and they're equitably measured out the same, laying there.
That's what this individual here on the screen would like to have.
They all supposedly vote the same.
All of us in a graveyard.
I'm in the land of the living, which promotes equal opportunity. The CRT, that's a nuclear bomb in the hands of any individual that reads it and they believe that shit. That's not a joke.
And that's not something that was written all the way back in like the mid 90s or whatever, and it's been implemented across the board almost everywhere. And it's kind of disgusting when you actually get down into it.
That's right.
Yeah, and it's all funded by people like this here, as you see on the screen. And if you notice, this individual is Klaus Schwab,
Klaus
the
Schwab
head of the
with
World Economic Forum.
the
And
bust of Karl
interestingly-
Marx behind him.
No, that's
awesome.
Vladimir Lenin.
That's,
but,
yeah, that's,
right,
that's
the
Lenin.
communist.
That's Lenin, right?
And it's like, well, here's this guy, the Economic Forum of the world, right? Oh, he's this big capitalist guy. Well, why does he have a bust of the communist revolutionary in Russia? Well, what is this? Isn't this a false dichotomy here? We're led to believe that communism is purely and only of this sort of, radical wackadoodles, which, I mean, it is kind of true. But who's funding this? Like, where did they get their money from? I mean, where does this stem from? Right? Look at the Communist Manifesto itself. It was written by Marx and Engels. Engels was a big guy. He was a big banker guy, big money guy, Engels. He wrote it along with Karl Marx. And see, the whole idea of this, from its origin of communism, if you will, has been this thing to try and use to overthrow government, centralize government, create bureaucracy, and then the
I've seen that about the mall.
Big people get in bed with each other, and there you have it.
I used to actually work at the Mall of America when I lived in Minnesota before I moved here to South Dakota, and I actually seen that.
Yeah.
There was a shooting or whatever today, and apparently they didn't find anybody actually injured. Apparently the guy ran on foot, and I don't know if they successfully found him yet or if they didn't.
That's a good point, JMK. They do. And a lot of people wouldn't, if you done that to most people, bite your thumb in their face, they wouldn't even know what that meant. But that's a very, very, very old insult. That's a very old insult that people today wouldn't know the difference about. But it matters too. These little gestures and these,
I'm gonna give a tip out real quick. Phil, take out the weird, strange little XXX stuff, those words that really don't matter, and say what you want, and you'd be surprised how many times it won't be hidden. Just saying. That's the issue. They don't like that.
Here's a good point.
Because they know what you're getting at.
Right. They know what you're getting at. No different than the Let's Go Brandon. They know exactly what that means because we make it known.
Don't tell Biden though. He doesn't know what the hell.
But I'll promote.
Him know.
Don't let him know. But
he still thinks it's great.
I'll promote a book. And I would suggest to everyone or anyone, go out and buy Don. If anybody knows the name Don McLean. He was the singer and songwriter of American Pie, and he just released the book American Pie, and what an awesome read it is. And he explains the song, and the lyrics in that song matter. I mean, when I listen to the song and I sing it out loud, it breaks me inside. I cry. I'm a grown ass man and I cry about it because he was fucking right back then. And it's not been that long ago, but the man was right, and the song matters, and it's right. And
it looks like it was just written within the last year, June 28th, 2021.
So,
but if I can address this thing of like communism, I don't mean to say like if.
Go ahead.
But when looking at this, we hear a lot of this, like again, right? Like, we're fighting the communists, right? It's the communists, right? But the communists are only the foot soldiers of people like this that you see on the screen.
Okay, apparently I wasn't clear enough with Phil. Take the F word out of anything that you're saying if you want that to actually show up and be read.
That's right.
Just saying that F word is not something that YouTube likes and will never like.
And I've been letting it fly, and I apologize. I'm going to.
It's fine to say it every once in a while. It's another to actually just sit there and ramble it out and something that's not necessary to actually try getting your point across. Otherwise, if you want to get your point across, you drop the one word and you'd be surprised how many will actually listen to everything else that's being said. He has some good points, and that's why I'm like, just drop the one word, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. I've been reading it. I want to read some of these comments. I do, and address them too. And we're talking away, and I love that. This is excellent. But to address some of these things, well, every beginning has an end, and until we die, we can cherish what we had. But I agree, as much as I agree with that statement in chat, as much as I agree with that, I've got 2 children in the world right now. Mine are in college. My son graduated high school with more ribbons than you can look at and count. He was a salutatorian. He was just a few points shy of a valedictorian. My daughter, the same. Very excellent, smart children, very based, very
Hello,
good.
yeah.
And I want them to have the same opportunities. I want them to have the same freedom, the same way to make their way around the states of this nation, the same way that I have. I've been to every state. I've worked in every state. I've met thousands and thousands and thousands of people. I've talked to many people. And I love our people. I've seen, we have the most beautiful people in the world right here that come from every nation in the world. I have nothing against the people of the world, these other nations. I have much to say about their constitutions and the way that they treat their people. But I love we the people. And if you notice right now, the nations around us and all the other nations, they're on fire. They're on fire. The
Some
people,
of them literally.
literally, Brazil is on fire. Kazakhstan, we watched a lot of people don't realize it, know it, but they were like us, a nation of Republicans, of conservatives, and they've been done dirty. They opened fire on them people. And the same thing, we just watched Sri Lanka. They went on their government, run them out, and now they've replaced that with another democratic institution. They've opened fire on those people. That's not on the news. They stopped covering that like right away. Like now. Stop covering it.
And
The media's burning us. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what it is. Koolfrogg, you pull that picture back up. That's exactly what this guy wants. Right there. See? They want the revolutionaries to come in, overrun the government, overrun your free sort of democratic style, parliamentarian, even if it's that, legislative, and of course in our country, our constitutional republic, they want you to throw out that system of government because, it's bad and it's corrupt and you don't need it anymore. They've made all the money off of it now. So now they're wanting these things to start happening. And even Klaus Schwab himself says, "We need to prepare for a more angry world." Oh, just a for a more angry world. Because he knows what he and his little groupies there have done, and what the effects of this is going to be. And again, people say this. There's all kinds of things on Twitter where they post what the pages of the World Economic Forum's website is about Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka is going to be this big, big, beautiful, booming green country. And it's going to be great. And where they're following along with the World Economic Forum plan for their country. And it's great. And it's wonderful. And then, look, it's gone. They took down the whole page.
Don't justify American way of doing things. Wait a minute. Hold right there. We kill people who disagree with the ruling class all the time. Let me tell you something, friend. I love what you've had to say. I've been reading your comments. But to address that, to people that don't realize what happened, what actually happened is the Democrats that we know today are the very ones that started the mob and mafia. And they started killing lawyers and politicians that didn't agree with them. When they got that to where they wanted it, they destroyed the mob and mafia, killed them off, and became it in office. That's what you're looking at now. That's why they're calling them on Fox News. That's why they call them the mob. That's why they call them these things. And a lot of people take it as just the mob being a few people, these couple of people. No, that's literally taken straight like a shot of vodka right now to the heart. They literally wiped out the mob and became it to cover their own ass. So that's kind of the appearance of it. And if you do the reading and find out these things, hey, I'm waiting on them. I don't know who's scrambling, but Lake Mead is way down low.
Yeah, it is. It's
and they're
really,
starting to recover bodies.
Yeah, they are. As well as many other things, bodies,
right,
guns, cars. It's amazing what's all sitting inside this man-made lake, and it's not. Not good.
It's not good, and we could talk about a lot of these things, and we don't want to just blatantly say I'm out, but we can make reference to some of these things like I just did without pointing fingers and just saying, but to call it as it is, people, they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to call it as, they'll spin the narrative and twist it to make it seem some other way, no different than watching them on the news say what a recession is not versus what it is, and a technical thing versus a reality thing. The spin of a narrative, these things matter. These things matter.
You see that 41 watching? This is great, but there's only 36 likes. The rest of you go hit that like button for me real quick. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
No,
this is the type of conversation that we try to have on a nightly basis when we actually, tell you the news of the world. So
we got to get more likes. Don't make me play the "Come On Man" from Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
we got to get more. Come on.
So this is burning us, people. The media is burning us, even from both sides. I mean, Fox News is owned by BlackRock, a big portion of it. I mean,
something that didn't show up over here. Me and You says Americans are lazy. All of them. I'm not so positive all of them, but there's an awful lot of them that are.
No, they're not. They're not lazy. But if you notice, let me point something out real quick. I don't know if either one of you can speak on this, but before the came around, suddenly now the fluid, it's something else disappeared. And let's back up.
There's a couple other things that disappeared. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
But let's back up a year or two. I remember in 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018, Trump was hard on the go doing what he was doing, and nobody noticed that the Democrats went through the healthcare system, and I think about 36,000 scientists, independent studies of independent, what's the word that I'm looking for? Private practices, people that study medicine, were put out of their practice because they would have say about the bullshit going on today. When those doctors and these lawyers and these people take and sign on to their job, people, they sign a waiver of confidentiality. There are things that they cannot come out and say, or it would put them behind bars, even after they're put out of practice. Now, we've got some people with balls now that are standing up saying, no, this ain't right or that ain't right. But they sign waivers to take those jobs. Those waivers say that they can't open their mouth and say shit about medicine. They can't say things concerning the public that they wouldn't want to be known about the grift behind it. But the medical field and big pharma, this is a great big grift. There's a lot of people that don't want to believe that America had something to do with it, but America didn't have something to do with it. The dirty, corrupt Democrats did. The dirty politicians did. You being sick matters to them. If they can consume your goods, your funding, your money through a medical tyranny, they will keep you at bay. You can't afford to feed your family and pay your bills if you're paying doctor visits all the damn time and buying medicine all the damn time. The transition that they're going through now with people, the reality transition where people want to be something else, cost $70,000 a pop, and they're doing it, getting that medical transition, $70,000 a pop, and then it's they're automatically fronted through pharma $1 million for the rest of their life on medication. That's slavery in itself. These people say that they want to be free to feel what they are on the inside, to be that instead of what they look like, and they go through that and commit themselves to a life of slavery to drugs and medicine. This is terrible. Now, I mean, I don't want to just, I'm sorry, I don't want that to be a trigger, a thing that blows somebody up, but do the research on that. It's $70,000 and up, 70 to 100,000 to get changed. And then, I mean,
if we piss somebody off to the point where we actually need them to actually come in here to actually state their points or whatever, put them in chat. Great. It gives us more of a reason to actually talk back and actually give you the truth. And
I mean, you would be wrong, but you can
so
talk.
that you, right.
I mean,
we'll give you a chance.
It's the biggest point. It's the biggest point. I know a lot of these individuals that are for their same sex. I don't want to say too many words like that to trigger people, but I'm not against these people. I'm not against any people. I'm not against anybody. But the point is a lot of them don't want to be spoken for. A lot of them were just fine being in the closet or being hidden. We have a lot of very smart and talented people that work their job, go out into the world, be what they look like and be what they are without their personal home life being known. But now, because of so bold and brave, now it's coming into the school systems and they want to teach our children. And I could cry. I could cry. I could bite a nail in half. This is not a joke. It's one thing when it's in the privacy of your home. It's an entirely different thing when you bring it out and try to teach it to everybody. I heard all of my life that we don't talk about sex, politics, and drugs, religion, sex, and politics, and these things like that. We don't talk about it out there in the open public. Now they're doing it boldly and bravely. Listen, there was a time, nobody wants religion shoved down their throat. Why should we tolerate them shoving this down our throats?
Hold on one second. Hold on. John Apocalypse, do me one favor, because I'm responsible for everything that is said, whether it's up here or in chat. Keep the coof and anything that has anything to do with it out of your messages for me.
Out of the
it's
message.
Not something that can be said, and I'm responsible for everything that comes across this chat. Please,
if you would like to have those sort of conversations of that nature, give support over and subscribe and go look at and do things with Rumble and Koolfrogg's Rumble and Locals and get that beefed up.
I would really love to say these things openly. I would really love for us to be able to have these talks openly, but they don't want us to talk. They want to sit at their round tables and have these talks for us, like they're the decision, but they're the adults. That pissed me off so bad when these Democrats come into office. Nancy Pelosi took straight to the damn podium and said, well, the adults are back in office now. And this is what the people want. I could have went through the screen at her. You have no idea. They wanted to change. They changed the definition, the idea of thinking of God in the Constitution and in the papers there. And then they stood up on the House damn floor and said, amen, and a woman. I could have tore my TV apart. I don't care who likes that. They can certainly not appreciate the truth, but the truth matters. And they've become numb to the truth. They hate it, in fact. These things are burning a hole in us, and they're doing it deliberately to piss us off. They want martial law. They want lockdown. They're doing this to gaslight us because they know that you people matter and that you'll take offense to it. But they don't want us to offend each other. They want to accuse by that. And I beg people to realize that they're looking for what actually is hate. In their opinion, they're looking for the measure of it, how to accuse it. And whatever that is that appears won't stop until it has accused all, even those that defined it. That's not a joke.
Yeah.
Where's the cutoff point in that? Where will they stop the accusing when it marches up on their doorstep? Then they can cut it off and say, well, let's change something. A lot of people will be dead or gone or worse, by then. This did identity politics thing.
Well,
so
just to soften up a little bit with Nancy Pelosi.
I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I just want people to realize that though Nancy Pelosi may be a nefarious character, this also is Nancy Pelosi.
We're getting we're
right
stuff over to the Senate.
Exactly.
Most of the product that we've done is.
I mean,
now
yes, play that
in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill. Like
you can't hide this. You can't make this shit up.
Excuse me. Bernie loves hearing. Mention doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate oriented, and then we had the family medical need. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in.
What the hell?
Manchin doesn't like it. So, so we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Bird is important. Is you have to take it out.
Oh, the reactions.
Privilege.
Oh, the reactions are priceless.
So again, getting
it reminds me of the MasterCard commercials.
But when we pass a bill,
priceless.
Then they will see
the reactions of people.
Aggregate and make some.
Click the like button on reactions, people.
Oh my God, I'm horrified.
Damn it.
Another sip of vodka.
No, we're not messing. You know what? We want to be sure that what we send is not birdable or bird bath or privilege scrub.
Drunk as a skunk.
What?
Exercises we're engaged in. Bathing exercises we're engaged in. And there's no bad answer.
Let's laugh about it so we don't cry. Yeah, let's laugh about it.
I mean,
T in Tennessee says, what is she even saying?
She doesn't know what the hell she's saying. Like, nobody damn.
Drunk as a damn skunk.
Shirt and a Cook says you beat me shirts.
Oh my God. Yeah. And hey, I haven't forgot. We have to watch this shit on TV. Who's forgot? Let's all laugh about it so that we don't cry. Okay. Let's be straight up and real about it, because I could cry. It's garbage.
It really is, but it makes for good comedy.
It's so damn funny. It's so funny.
But it also speaks to a level of them where it's like, I mean, yes, they are
yes, T in Tennessee. That's what she said. Bird bath.
Yes.
Privilege scrub.
That's what she said.
She said, bird bath, privilege scrub.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that. The only thing that she missed there, the only thing that she missed there was a hiccup.
Right?
Damn it, son! Damn it! I want to drug test every damn one of them. I want to be there, and I want to be there with the breathalyzer.
Right.
Pelosi
When they
should
come to the
strive
House
to be more
floor.
like RBG.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi dips those chocolate bars she has in her fridge in vodka, right? Like she like dips it in, just soaks it in there, and then she like eats a bite out of it. She's like, oh, that's so good. It's fresh.
Ain't that the truth, Mimsy? Ain't that the truth? I mean, hey, bud, let's laugh about it. I mean, because seriously, I mean, I could break down right now. I got to think about my kids going into this society.
Exactly. I'm sitting here taking care of my 2-year-old, and I'm having the issue of actually, wondering what it's going to be like for him in the future. Is he going to have a future? Is there
Damn
even
it.
anything for him to look forward to at all? And I'm not going to allow him to go through this public school system alone. I will be there every single step. And these schools are going to know who the hell I am. They're going to know, and they're going to actually find out that if they try pushing some
Thank you, Princess.
identity politics on them, that they're going to find out real fast to fuck off. That's exactly what it's going to be. Because there's no way I'm going to allow that to actually happen to him.
You damn
if
right,
there's
Phil.
anything for him to actually go through.
Phil, you're damn right, brother. I am. I'm.
Phil's been spitting a lot of good words.
I
through
know.
here.
I've been reading his stuff, and I want to read some of his
I'm glad
stuff
I
out loud.
convinced him to drop the F word from everything that he was putting out, so that his stuff could actually come across.
Right. Hey, listen, people. I want to let some of it fly. I really do. And I'm good at it. I was actually trained into using my mouth to speak and not be afraid. Not whether anybody likes being offended or not. You can be offended. Listen, I'm offended at least 40 times, 50 times a day. It's just tough. Nobody has the right to live their life protected from hurt feelings, embarrassment, and offense. You can go be a fucking hermit if you want to.
Tweety, in this town that I'm currently in, no, they won't. I know better. I've already talked to a couple of the heads of the schools around here. They won't send anybody after me. They're totally with me on it, and they're excited to know that there's somebody that's actually going to be there with them to actually take on the bull crap as it gets fed to them. So they can try doing whatever they want, because I don't have any issues. They can send as many CPS activists after me as they want. It's not going to affect me any. Just
no,
saying.
I'm not exactly welcome in a lot of chats. I'm not exactly welcome. I read the chat, even the chats that are a blur. I read them, and I hear what people are saying. I can't put their voices to it, but reading it comes with hearing, and that's the point of the right to freedom of speech. It's not a one-way idea. Not just that I speak and somebody else speaks, but listen, the biggest point to your right to freedom of speech first starts with the right to freely hear.
Not my first child. This is my third child. Be careful. I'm fine with it. I'll be as careful as I need to be and still be active in this every single day life, so that they understand that they can't sit there and run roughshod all over the school. And there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to be like, oh, look, check this guy out.
You have the right to freedom of speech, which gives you the right to freely hear. And this government stands on the idea of plausible deniability, the right to look at you and lie to you in your face and get away with it. That's not okay. I'm not okay with plausible deniability. These policies that they have, just because they want to go in the back rooms.
This world needs more Mr. Voices. Exactly.
They want to go in the back rooms and have these meetings and their talks and not have it out in the public. And they say it's a matter of national security. I don't want to hear about that shit. That's what I mean when I say our judicial system, the judges, the highest branch there, have let us down miserably. It's one thing for us as a free and open society of people in a private republic nation to be able to talk and converse amongst ourselves here without it getting out into the world. It's one, if I want to look at China or Russia or Australia and see what they're doing and hear what they're talking about and what they've got going on, that's one thing. But for them to look in here on us and see what we're talking about and what we're doing is an entirely other thing. That robs the privacy. These networks, these platforms, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, is all over the world. Our privacy is no longer, and they have robbed us of that freedom of privacy. Everybody wants their privacy, but they're now being bold and brave to throw that out and let it be known to the world, which is robbing our Constitution, people. It's robbing our Constitution of its merit. And they don't want you to understand that. As a private nation, these things matter. We keep it in-house so that we can talk about it and we can rightfully divide the word. These things, that you have the right to freedom of speech for a reason, to not be offended. But please be offended, but let's talk about it. When you put your hands on me or come at me, everything changes. It don't have to be talked about anymore. I understand that part of it. We can fight. I can fight. I have 5 brothers. We can fight. Let's not do that. Let's talk about it and don't be offended. It's the point. So I love each and every one. I love each and every one.
Right. Me and you says urban parents are dumbest Dickens. Non-urban parents are not fooled by it. I guess to a point. I mean, it's not
but
really
the silent
that they're
majority
dumb.
becomes a
it's
riot.
just that they're not educated. Is that
Right.
there's nobody there that's willing to go into these areas because they're like, I don't want to get shot or whatever. And they're afraid to actually go teach them the truth so that they would actually change their mind or use their mind to actually do good things.
And that's why that's why they want to throw the law out the window now. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can't do that.
And see, that's what the people at the top that I was talking about, right? Like they want you to believe that this system is that bad that you have to get rid of it. And so whether it's the communists or whether it's a sort of civil unrest type scenario, either way, they want you to overthrow your present system of government in order that they may have their preferred system in place that they will make they will be able to hold anything they want to. And again, as the saying is, you will own nothing and they will be very happy.
Right.
That's what they want. And so to go along with, and see, this is kind of, the thing I bring up with Nancy Pelosi there a little bit, right? Like to expose these people for who they are, for what they're doing, for what their intentions are. And once you are enlightened into that, then their tomfoolery does not work anymore.
Right.
And so now, and then you awaken other people and it starts a chain reaction. And to enlighten those who are, who aren't crazy, rabid people who are done caring about what's true.
Right.
Those people, you will never reach individuals who have already made it their baseline. They don't care what's true. Even if what they're spewing isn't true, they don't care. They want what they want, whenever they want it. Those type of individuals, those type of people that have that perspective, that kind of mentality, you're never going to reach people like that. But the more you wake people up to the reality of the situation, and you wake people up to the reality of who these people really are,
Play
and what
Lee
they
Greenwood
do.
in the background. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm reading chat.
Oh, I didn't understand what he was saying. I thought he was.
I was reading chat.
Oh, okay. But
somebody made the statement of play Lee Greenwood in the background. And it's just funny. Competing interests or different groups with different causes.
Yeah.
I could read the same way that I'm talking right now. I can read chat just as fast, and I'm reading it as I talk. A lot of people, we've got great multitaskers, and everything that I'm talking about, I'm trying to address the chat as I'm reading it also. And really, whether I'm offending
there was a couple
anyone
comments
or
that
not,
come across from the mods. Germ said something about boil the bathwater.
yeah, I've seen it.
Let's talk about prepping,
Let's have
saying that helps get out the most adrenochrome.
Oh.
Loving the stream
yeah,
tonight.
it's like-
Tuned in about 20 minutes ago. I'm
Dang.
working but listening. Thank you,
Oh,
Jules. How are you, Jules?
Hey, Jules.
Let me scroll back here just a moment. Just a moment. America attracts millions of people from all over the world. We are the light of freedom. The Comocrats simply cannot lie about that and be believed. The immigration numbers do not lie. And I want you all to look around and look at what's actually going on right now, because you're witnessing a mass migration of people from everywhere. They're shut down the farmers. They want to stop the food. We in the 80s, 70s and 80s, we were the number one the number one exporter of goods and services to the world. By the 90s, come into 2000, we turned into nothing but import everything. The bureaucrats of society started ruining businesses. The baby boom era almost destroyed the Democrat Party. The liberals destroyed them. They said that they had to have come together and vowed to not let that shit happen again. The baby boom
Ash. Have a
era
good one.
really drove us. And we need those things to keep happening. The baby boom era, eras where we invent and boom and wow the world. The bureaucrats cut us off from that by taking over big businesses, I remember when the corporations got taken over in certain areas, and a lot of, the NAFTA, and I'm not going to call the names, but the first scandal I seen was in 96, 95, 96. That time, 95, 96, if anybody would remember right, when the NAFTA and TAFTA bills were signed, and suddenly all the companies packed up and walked the hell away from us because of high taxes on them. You can thank the Clintons for that. And then along with those things, we watched Bernie Man, Freddie Mac, who was over the mortgage brokers and such. One of them took their own life because of it, supposedly, allegedly. And then we watched Scalia, allegedly.
Is it like one of those situations where these people hang themselves to death and then they take the shotgun to themselves while they're like, I mean, is it one of the, I'm just kidding.
While they're almost asphyxiated. Yeah. Yes. Almost like when rigor mortis is setting in. Yes. It's really crucial that people remember these things and know what was going on. Most people seen these things happen, and it was talked about on TV, and they couldn't put two and two together. They couldn't make out anything.
Just like how those people shoot themselves in the back of the head with a shotgun out in the middle of a field. It just, it's just, it's like
California Princess. There is a PayPal. There is a
who
Buy
did
Me
they
a
know?
Coffee.
Oh,
There's
they knew
several
the
other
Clintons.
places that
Okay.
you should check out that are down in the description. Sorry.
Go ahead,
There's,
Shirts.
Oh, yeah.
There was questions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was saying, like, it's one of those situations where it's like, the guy's like, out in the middle of a field, and he just decides to shoot himself with his shotgun from behind. And it's like, okay, well, who was some of the people that he knew? Oh, he knew the Clintons. Okay, well, we'll just wad that piece of paper up. This is a suicide.
I mean, we just
yes,
seen one of the Clintons' lawyers almost get offed on a particular movie set. Not gonna bring up too much about that, but yeah, that's literally what almost happened. And he's getting away with it.
Oh, that.
Oh, yeah.
You mean the actor?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I saw, and because I just don't care about any of these people in Hollywood, but I think it was like a month ago.
Allegedly, Sparkle. Allegedly. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'm sorry. Come on.
Yeah. I think it was about like a month ago that I saw an article and I kind of dismissed it because I didn't know if it was real. And then I saw it again and I was like, oh, this might be a real thing, that they're actually going to bring charges against him specifically.
Yeah.
That he is culpable. And I thought, oh, so he is going to face charges for this.
Maybe. Allegedly, and that remains to be
thought
seen.
He wasn't even going to go into a courtroom, but
Right, but it'll probably take 10 years for those charges to be brought, and by that time he'll be too old that it won't even matter. He's there now. I mean, he's washed up, and some of them are. I mean, I used to like those guys, those brothers, and oh my God, some of these actors were awesome when they were just damn actors and not speaking out and having a say and doing stupid shit like they are now. I could choke The View. I could pull their tongues out of their damn mouths in Minecraft, yes. That's not, I mean, allegedly. Jesus.
All you have to do with Whoopi Goldberg is you just have to take the whoopee cushion and just blow the air completely out of it, and that's it. It should just fall over. There's, it's just because she's just full of hot air,
Well, I'd like to say that, but she keeps seemingly, to get larger and larger and larger until it seems like gravity is bending the fucking light towards her.
We did determine this, though. We did determine that she is the gravitational force in that room, because everybody else, it's like, how the hell do these people stay here? It's like, well, it's because she's the circumference. She has an equator. She can't, she's holding these people in place.
She's got her own gravitational pull.
They can't leave the field. It's there. It's happening,
I mean, it's getting so big. It's getting so big that I hit her with my car, and she asked me why I hit her. And I told her it's because I didn't have the gas to go around her ass. I'm trying to tell a joke.
I hope your
there
car's
now.
Okay.
Well, man, it's really coming to everything right now is coming to a bottleneck. Everything is bottlenecking, and it's like a pimple that's really poking out there. It's red, swollen, and ready to be dealt with, or it's going to hit the mirror by itself. The cork is going to pop, and people's not realizing that. They just want to live their lives. They want to go to work. They want to come home. They want to kick back and watch their show, do their eat their dinner, spend a few minutes with their family.
Have a good one. Sleep well.
And not worry about this shit. But no, that can't be. That can't be. We've got to pay some attention whether we like it or not.
But so many people are waking up to what's going on. I mean, you look at
Robin.
What's popular. Yeah. But if you look at, for example, Mr. Emmerich Jones, that's his middle name, put out a book, and it's hit the #1 charts in Amazon within a week. And it's like, I mean, people are hungry for the truth
Starving,
now,
starving.
and
They're
they want to know what's
starving.
going on.
And they've got itching ears. They're latching on to anybody. You know, one person that has, and a lot of people say, well, I can't listen to him. He's got a really foul mouth, you know, and I get that. I get that, people, but persevere and endure and push past the words and listen to actually what's being said. I can talk all day long and for days and days and not use a curse word, but the salty cracker YouTube channel. This guy, I love this guy, and people complain. That's the only complaint that they have. A lot of people is about his mouth, that he curses a lot. I don't have a problem with that. I can look past the curse words. I don't mind. I can not use them, or I can use them. It's fill in. They're fill in words, and I can take those out, and I can talk very I can speak very proper English. I English well. and I can be mad, and I can be angry, and we can rant and curse. But we need to stop using the fill-in words and have meat in our say, instead of applesauce that spills off your plate onto the damn floor. Have meat that's there, that's filling. You know, people are what Shirts was just saying. People are starving for the truth, and there are so many people that are confused. And mental illness is a real thing today because they're allowing it. We've got doctors that are just affirming. They're confirming. Well, you think something's wrong with you? Oh, okay. Well, hey, I agree with you. Hey, can I write you a prescription for something? I know people that have cabinets full of medicine, and they can't wait to get home or do whatever they do today and get home so that they can take something and just walk away from society. Walk away, you know, in their mind, walk away from it and not deal with it and be numb. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. And they're begging for someone to talk to them and some real sense. And they're shamed. They're hiding, and they're scared to death, but they're starving. And that's a real. I'm glad you said that. That's a real say, Shirts, and I appreciate that. And you all in chat that are tolerating me tonight.
I mean, this little show ourselves is an example of this. I mean, so many people want to know things. So many people want. They want to know what's going on with reality, because they see the corruption, they see all of this stuff going on as we've just described, and it's like,
so
okay,
you
what
can
is
feel
this?
so y'all can feel
back,
good about
right?
what's going on here. We've actually picked up 2 subs, so people are enjoying the content that is being provided. Thank you, Mr. Voice, for joining us. Just
Absolutely. Saying. But I also agree with that statement. Don't want to burn people out or overwhelm them, so don't stress it this much. But you know what? We're past that point, my friend. If we don't start stressing it, if people don't stand up, they're going to walk over us. And when you do get ready to stand up and have a say, you're going to be set down.
Okay, I need to address something real quick. Thank you, California Princess 619, and thank you, M. Swartz, for the donations. Thank you very much.
Oh,
yes, please address the chat. Go right with them. Read some of them. Thank you all. Jules, Forever, Hour, Phil, Sparkle, Minyo, Gene.
Even Ouroboros I've been reading most everything that they've actually put across there. This stuff seriously is good stuff. I love it. Thank you guys so much for being great.
And Kitty Cat Ears, Miss Megan. I want to address Princess. I want to address everybody, and I want to speak to everybody, and everybody needs to be spoken to. We all want respect. It's all that's all they want, to be respected. Even if it's for nothing, even if they've done nothing, they want to be respected. Well, when I grew up, when I was growing up, you better keep your damn mouth shut about some things, and you better listen to an old person some. And respect was earned. Respect was earned, not just given, not just handed out. Because lies, I don't have anything against the lie. I don't like lies and liars for that matter, but it's not against the lie. But when you've been lied to, it's hard to trust that person again, because you're not going to believe what they say when you find out that it is. So no different than these people coming out. You've worked beside somebody for a long time, and you didn't know. You've talked to them every day, and suddenly now these teachers, now I've come out of the closet and I'm this, and I've always been this. And wait a minute, you mean you've been lying to me this whole fucking time? Now I really don't want to be here because I thought one way about you, and that was a private thing you should have just kept to yourself. I love you. I loved you anyway. And outside of that, in the privacy of your home, we could have talked about that. We could have addressed that, but you've come out this way now, and nobody knew that before. So now what you're telling me is that you're a liar. You've been lying the whole time instead of being honest. You know, I mean, these are real things people think about, not just me.
I was just gonna ask who you addressing, at this point in time, but yeah, never mind.
And it's beautiful to see the pushback from that. I mean, it's beautiful to see how these people, when they see these videos of these freakazoids on the internet, do all these crazy, sometimes even evil, perverted things. They want to show and they want to display in front of children, and to see the parents just go ham mode on these people,
princess,
and just, I mean,
exactly.
Yes, you're right. Keep going, Shirts. I'm sorry, I'm addressing chat too.
Just to see the level of pushback to the point that the FBI wanted to label parents that go to school board meetings as terrorists. I mean, there is pushback to all of this, and we are pushing back, and we are winning across. I mean, again, just politically, the other night, I mean, we're winning across the board. MAGA is winning. America First is winning. We are making a comeback. We are pushing back, and they are flipping their crap.
Yeah, Hey, here's a good check. Here's a good check your balances. Check your balances, okay? Afford you a plane ticket and go to another country and try and live that way. Go to another country and try and live that way. They'll drag you out into the street and mob you. They will string you up, cut you off, leave you somewhere in an alley bleeding out. Go to another country and try and live the way that you live here in America. As open, as bold and brave as you want to be. Go into another country and try and live that way and be openly bold and, all of it. This is not a joke anymore, as much as it was a joke at one time.
Oh no,
John Apocalypse
exactly.
is especially Afghanistan.
Expressly. But I mean, in real time, you'd really watch them turn, do an about face turn on you, this government. And then the ones that they're promoting to be bold and brave, they're suddenly going to start accusing. They're not for you. They're not. They hate the people that they think they're promoting now, the new flag waving and the new T-shirts and the rainbows and stuff. And it's all bubble gum and popcorn and peanuts and candy. No, it's not, because they'll start accusing them soon. These they're singling everybody. Listen, Stalin, let's go way back. Let's go back in history. Stalin let all the protesters protest. He let them all protest. He let them. And then he rounded them all up and shot them. And starved millions to death. Mao, they starved millions. He starved 100 million in the mud through this identity politics. It's the same. I got nothing against people. This philanthropy of philosophy is driving them insane. Everybody wants to have their own idea. It's great, but there needs to be a base level of truth there. Instead of at one time in the 90s, 80s and 90s, it's the sky's the limit and you can be whatever you want to be. That meant a job. Go get your education and be what you want to be, a police officer, a doctor, a lawyer, a veterinarian, make up a field and be it. That doesn't mean that we're going to change what we are from men and women, people in the world, to become something else. I've never seen it. We've never seen that. I mean, this movement of my body, my choice. I love these people, but listen, my body, my choice. I want to ask who asked to come into the world before they were born. I want to ask the manner of peeing and pooping, the using the bathroom thing. Who has the choice? Who has a choice in that? Eating food. A spoon was stuck in your mouth as a baby. You didn't ask for somebody to feed you. No, when your belly gets hungry, you better obey that, or your tank of gas is gonna run out when you've got to use the bathroom. I want to see somebody evolve in front of me. Please command your hair to turn another color. Don't run out to the market and buy dye and coloring and come back and color it a different color. No, stand in the mirror and command it, and let's see if it obeys you. I'll wait. I'm not making a joke. The my body, my choice thing. I love it. And I'm all about medical freedom, stuff like that, that you should be able to choose these things. But seriously, there needs to be a base understanding there of this my body, my choice movement thing that's going on.
Well, there needs to be a recognition of reality, I think. Is
what we're getting at. Yes.
Real quick, welcome Red Hoodwinked.
JD's been
subscribe, share, and do all those fun things. But he says they won't do it. They know that they'll get stoned if they leave America, which is why they stayed when Trump was in office after saying they'd leave.
Hey, you know what? That'll never be lived down either. This JD, this whole trial of the century that they're talking about, she's shit in the bed, people. She'll never live that down. Hey, we can laugh about that. That's a great joke going around. Turd, Miss Turd. That's a great joke going around. She'll never live that down. You can do things to yourself.
It's going to follow her the rest of her life.
That's right.
Even afterward.
Be careful exposing yourself. That's right. That's right. That's a good point. Be careful exposing yourself with with the level of malice, the level of hate, the level of evil, because these things will follow you the rest of your life. You can't shit on the bed. Come on. Don't shit in my bed.
You can if you really feel the need, but that's kind of disgusting.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart. Oh my God. But
Phil says America is not an abstract idea. Freedom is a simple idea. You are God-given the right. You are God-given the rights of freedom you enjoy. No politician gave these rights to you. Exactly. No politician ever gave you any rights whatsoever. You were born with them.
Part 3 of the 2016 deposition today, that topic come up. She dumb for blaming the tiny puppers. Hey, son. I could laugh about that all day long. And we can really stop and think about it. How many of you men out there would have appreciated your woman shitting on your bed? Oh my God. You women, I know a lot of women, single women that have their own place, and they prefer their bed. They prefer their bed to bring a man into it. Men prefer their bed to bring a woman into it. You go shit on somebody's bed. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. That's not that's not okay. That's not okay. Seriously. It's nasty. That is excuse me. That is rank.
It's just disgusting.
Ratchet. It's
Straight up.
disgusting.
Right.
Sexist,
Seriously.
I'm not a biologist. Oh, no, I'm no biologist.
Well, we'll tell you right now, XX chromosome, no tallywhacker, that's a woman.
I mean, I've heard people. We've never been cleaner. We've never been cleaner. Look at us today, people. Look at us today, models, and big people, little people, tall people, short people. We're clean. Our hygiene. We're taking care of ourselves a lot better, and we couldn't be any more fucking filthy within. That's not a joke. I don't mean to, excuse me for being that straight out there, but let me just throw that out there. Before, when we were dirty, when we were struggling in the mud, I remember when the churches had dirt floors and there was no power. Now we've got a theater show in the churches and in the houses and in the theaters, and we've got no power. We've in ourselves. It's just become filthy inside, and we're clean on the outside. You ride by people's houses and they've got nice, beautiful brick homes, nice, beautiful yards, but inside the home, it's filthy. Hey, I don't mind being a little degenerate. Okay, I don't mind being a little lazy once in a while to not clean up sometimes, but you go inside the home and it's a different picture than what it looks like on the outside. It's no different than the person standing in front of you. Outside, their teeth are beautiful white, their hair is combed, slicked back. These guys can prep up, these women can prep up, look good in the mirror. Inside, it's rank. And I'm not just trying to beat on us. I'm really not. But have conversation with somebody and see where they stand. It's becoming intolerable. It's becoming something. I mean, I'm not here to preach to nobody. I'm a minister by right. Yes, I am. I'm a minister, but I'm not a preacher that stands in a pulpit. I'm not here to tell anybody about religion that way. I'm not going to preach to a grown ass man or woman to tell them a thing about their self. You want pride? Don't have pride outside waving your flag. Have some pride inside, some consideration for yourself. That matters. It's okay to have that. And it's the truth inside is better than a beautiful painted picture outside that has no meat inside. It's full of hot air, as Wood talked about Whoopi Goldberg, full of hot air. You can squeeze the air straight. There's nothing inside. Nothing inside. It looks outside and there's nothing inside. And that matters.
And I think to that point, I think a lot of people in today's society have a lack of self-respect. And I think that is what leads to a lot of this, is that they're taught, quite honestly, to not have respect for themselves. That is the way to go.
But they want you to respect them and others, be respect. But right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, right, but I mean, to speak of that, for example, I mean, if you have respect for yourself, I mean, why are you flamboyantly, throwing, things of the sexual or things that are sexually perverse around as though, this is something good or beneficial?
Don't be a hypocrite, right? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it's like, well, but oh, this is good, this is whatever. And they don't have respect for themselves enough to be able to have that kind of self-awareness to be like, okay, well, if I choose to do this myself, I mean, this is, as we were saying before, with the well, we're past 2 hours, the trannies. I mean, I mean, it's like, I mean, at what level does the degeneracy become enough to the point that you wake up and go, oh my God, what the hell? What am I doing? What's going on? But they don't have
Toy
this
Box
level
Princess,
of
I'm being
self-awareness. A lot of
personally
these
attacked.
invaders.
What are you guys doing to him?
Hey, let me I'll call out one name. I'll call out one name. certain YouTuber, and the guy, a beautiful man, Kevin Samuel. I'm sure people have watched some of his videos, and he goes through women like crazy, telling them about their self, why they're not getting the high price man. Women marry up, men marry across and down, and he goes through these talks with people, and I heard Kevin Samuel say, hey, some of you women and some of you men, if you're going to be this way, buy you a dog, buy you a cat, and fucking die alone. Die alone. Grow old, die alone. He says that.
And that's what.
Thank you for the donation.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And that's what this is that people are being taught to not only not have respect for themselves, but in general, they're being taught through movies and entertainment and culture and everything else, what marriage is, or what relationships between men and women are supposed to be, or what family is supposed to be. And they're not getting a good enough of an image of that in real life. And so they're getting it from all these other different vectors, and it's feeding them a load of crap. And it's telling them all of these things of degeneracy and not to respect yourself and not any of this. And the whole perspective of it. And to that point, I mean, right? It's like, I mean, if you're going to have that kind of a perspective about things, I mean, you're not going to get married at all. I mean, if people had the level of the expectation of a marriage or a woman or a man or whatever, or a family or whatever, if they had the same expectations that they do today, back 100, 200, 300 years ago, the human race would have already died out. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And see, that's also the kicker here, because a lot of these people at the top levels, the global elite as we call them, talk about depopulation.
Yeah, really.
There's too many of us. Do anybody remember the Georgia Guidestones that got
blasted? Yeah,
blowed up.
But I mean, there's only 9 billion of us in the world, and they're saying that we're going to top out at 9 billion. There's plenty of Earth here for us. Plenty of Earth, and people die every day. People are born every day. There's an order and a cycle they don't have control of. They want that to control it, to say who can and who can't. No.
And the whole goal of this, though, is to try and stop reproduction. At a fundamental level, all of this kind of stuff is to destroy the idea of community, family, raising children, having relations, man and wife. Like, it's just to destroy all of that. And it is to bring about this idea of, living alone, living by yourself all the time, living degenerately, oh, well, hey, you're this way sexually, maybe you're this way sexually, you should try this, whatever. And then you go off and do this or try this or whatever. And it is this culture of degeneracy, because they don't want you to look at the very thing that you're supposed to be doing with yourself.
Right.
And the people are beginning to see that in large numbers now. And,
there's all these other podcasts. There's all these other podcasts going on. People talking about the relationships between men and women, or relationships with men and men, relationships with women and women. I'm not here to knock anybody to say what's good for you or what's best for you. Hey, do your thing. That's fine. But listen to the podcasts that are going on. Kevin Samuels Matters. The things that he talked about, some of these other people, the things that they're talking about, we're starving, and it's clear to see. Look at the podcast and the content creators. I found these guys right here, and by chance, talking through chat and speaking to some of y'all, they allowed me a place to come and speak with y'all, with them, with us. But
Yeah,
these conversations,
exactly.
we need to have these conversations. We need to have these. There's no
We
such
did
thing
it
as
on
shut
purpose.
up.
We did it on purpose when we seen what you were putting in chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I see there's other people that are putting certain things in chat. Makes me interested in knowing what they have to say and what they think.
Right. I read the chats and I speak to
Mhm.
everybody in
And
all
I
the
know
chat
there's a
rooms that I
couple
go
that have
in.
actually joined us in Discord, and that's how I can actually hold a conversation
mean-
with beforehand to see if you're actually interested in doing something like this. That's
Right.
how I got Mr. Voice in here. Was the
I love you
same way.
people. I love you people. And in all of these chats, I mean, Nick Ricada, all the lawyers, big shout out to Nick Ricada. I love watching his show at night when he's on vacation. He's been doing things with his family. The guy's got 5 kids, 4 or 5 kids, something like that.
5. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome guy. I mean, you know, not to say that I'm just like him in ways, but really, I love these content creators. I love people. I love people, and to see them be the way that we are, all right, the way that we are, we do something that is not known anywhere else in the world. We have free speech, but I mean, really think about it. The animals, we can't understand them. They can't understand us. If lions could talk and understand us and we understand them, we wouldn't have a damn thing to say to them. They would devour us. They wouldn't give us the
Parallax,
time of day.
I'm going to try answering that question for you before he even gets the chance to answer it or whatever. And I'm guessing he's going to say about the same thing, is we love everybody the
Love
way
them,
they are.
Parallax.
Everyone.
Love
everyone.
them.
Period.
Everyone. There's some of my best friends. I went to school with all of them. All colors, all kinds. I love people. It doesn't matter the color. It's not about the color. It's about the content of their character. We were taught at one time real things that people could be, critical thinkers, real thinkers that had base knowledge, base education, and they were supposed to use that. Instead of now they're teaching philosophy. How do you feel about it? Let's teach facts and truth. No, let's well, how do you feel about it? No, wait a minute. Let's get a base knowledge of understanding, and then you come out into the world and we hash through a plethora of ideas, and the truth is already there. The thing that we do is tap into it. We peel back its protective layers. That was said by Armstrong when he allegedly came back from the moon, and the look on his face was perplexed when he said that he stood on the backside of the moon. He had been standing on the earth all of his life looking up at the stars, and allegedly looked from the moon, and it was just blackness, darkness as far as he could see. He didn't see not anything else out there. But when he came back, he said, we have to peel back truth's protected layers. Those words ring in my ears to this day. People have said some profound things, some very profound things that need to be said and need to be talked about. And we've got some Charlie Kirk is a great articulator of speech. Candace Owens, I love that woman to death. Jordan Peterson is awesome. I don't agree with everything, but I agree. The man is great. I love these people that are coming out. They almost killed that man. His children had to go to the other end of the damn world to get him some help. I grew up listening to talk radio, and 2 of my favorite speakers was Rush Limbaugh, and I listened to Paul Harvey. I bet you 30 years. And I cried the day that man died. I loved him. He never knew me. He never knew me in my life. He never knew a lot of us, but I heard his voice on the radio for 30 years of my life. And I appreciated him. You know, he said some very profound things, Paul Harvey did. And before I had TV, I grew up on a farm. I know how to farm. I know how to grow a thing and watch it grow, watch it become something. And the farmer and the seed share one thing in common. The farmer and the seed share a thing in common. That's the wait time in between to see if the thing will produce something. What are you producing now that you've grown up? And that's not a joke, people. The farmer and the seed possess that one thing in common, the wait time, to see what it's going to produce, if it's going to be any good, the crop. Look at us and look what we're doing today. The seeds of society are growing. I mean, Paul Harvey and Rush Limbaugh, these people have had some very profound things to say. Speaking of Paul Harvey, he got a virus in his throat, a little tiny bug, a germ that settled down by his larynx and took his voice from him for about 8 months, and he couldn't speak. He spent an endless amount of money trying to get that worked out. And he said in an interview, you can look it up, it's on YouTube, you can look it up. In the interview, he said that he prayed and he begged to God to give him back his voice because he didn't know why his voice was taken from him. But his voice was his life. Your voice is all that you have, people. And it's not just that I'm telling you to use it right or to stop cursing or what. No, but you've got to use it. And we don't grow unless we practice. You've got to practice your words in order to get that right. Who is Paul Harvey?
One of the best people to live. I swear to God. Go find anything that Paul Harvey did.
I loved him.
It's just straight gold.
I loved him. He was gold in my ears. I couldn't wait to tune in. Damn a TV. I didn't run to that. I've worked all of my life, people. I've worked the past 25 years of my life and listened to a radio, somebody speak to me, somebody talking, and I talked back to them. People thought I was crazy. No, I weren't. But I had say with them, just like us sitting here talking now. All of you people in chat are having something to say, and we're trying to talk to y'all too. But that was no different over the radio before we had this. I couldn't wait for the man to come on. Video gaming came out, and then all of a sudden, bam, men couldn't wait to run home and jump on their game to be with their buddies and talk to somebody over the live internet and game some and just talk to each other, to spend time with their friends that way, because we were grown men out of school. Now we've got families and we're working every day and we don't have time to run out to our buddy's house. So we'd run and jump online or grab the phone, and talk to somebody. Use your words, people. Talk to somebody. Be their friend. Be there for somebody. That's where it counts, instead of sitting back behind our devices and our TVs. Look up from it. Okay,
Well, and I bring this up because I was looking for this here a little bit ago with that chat where they were asking, do you like black people? And I was like, well, no, of course we love all people, and and we love women. We love them. We love men, we love women, we love everybody equally, right? But I mean, when it comes to certain people,
one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's.
Well, I mean, you've got to provide your character. Now they're coming out with these anxiety issues now. Oh, wait a minute. You want to play something? Please play that.
Oh, yeah. I was going to play this because, it's like, oh, well,
play it.
Do you like, it's like, oh, yeah, you know the saying, right? It's like, oh, you're sexist. You don't like women, or you're racist or whatever. It's
do
like,
you love black people? Do you love black people? I love that guy to death, son. That guy's got an awesome podcast. Do you love black people? That guy's awesome, man. Yeah, play. Go ahead and play it.
But yeah, it's like, oh, you're sexist or you're racist or whatever. It's like, well, no. Let's just be clear here.
One of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides.
Just listen.
In particular, when it comes to women. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
Just listen.
Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Only Rosie.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
Your Twitter
That dude, son. I love this man, Donald Trump.
Only Rosie.
I mean,
Only Rosie O'Donnell. Let's
it's
just
not-
speak of it.
No gay, just love the man.
love the man. I appreciate his rhetoric. They can talk about his rhetoric all day and
Only
be
Rosie
angry
O'Donnell.
about it. But let me tell you something. I appreciate the man. He didn't just show the swamp to people that didn't know about it. I know about it. I've known about it for a long time. Some of us have, many people have, and we're not talking about it enough. We're not exposing them enough, but they are exposing us, making us look like we're just filth, we're no good, we're deplorables, we don't need to be here, and they would love to wipe us out and bring in the next new wave of people that will bow down to them. Piss on that.
We ain't letting it happen. That's exactly right. We ain't letting that happen.
Piss on that. I'm ready. I would love. They eat breakfast every morning. They get up and put their pants on, one damn leg at a time, just like me. I would love to piss in their cornflakes.
Nancy Pelosi probably does that on accident. Thinks
In
she's
Minecraft.
milk, but, you know.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly, folks. Allegedly.
And this disinformation board that we just seen pop up, and a ministry of truth, you know, that's a real thing in New Zealand, and that here in America we watched it just disappear, but they do it secretly. But that's a real thing in New Zealand. Their government told them that they are going to be the only source of truth for them, they can't get it nowhere else. How many of you want that instead of you discovering the truth? I mean, I don't believe in your truth and it's my truth. I believe in the truth, and then there's us. But nobody has the right to dictate the truth to others or for others, to say what parts of it they can have or can't have. But the truth is there for you as individuals, as people. I call that thing God. Truth. That's God to me. And he reveals things to us through good and evil. I mean, you accept that into your life. He's the provider of that good and evil. If you want it, he'll provide you with whatever you want. You can serve the truth, or the truth will serve your heart's desire. But the heart is wicked above all things and is desperately it's deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. I beg people to not just follow your heart, but try the truth a little bit and see how your heart lines up with it. I mean, you know, I can talk all day about it, I guess, but you don't try the truth will try you. It pisses people off today because there's an answer. There are answers there. There's answers there. And the truth is not based on whether you like it or not.
Right.
I wouldn't dare just throw the Bible at anybody like that, but there's this one verse of scripture that comes up that says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." That's the 23rd Psalm. I shall not want. None of you people have ever wanted the truth in your life, but he's always been there whether you like it or not.
Oh,
now,
dang. Good night, Dragon Man. You have a good night.
Oh, yeah, Night Dragon.
I think that's probably one of the longest that Dragon Man stuck around.
So, anyway, you guys have the floor.
You were doing just fine.
Well, I try not to bring the Bible up or the Quran or any of these other religions. There's a whole plethora of them. People like to cast stones. You know, people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, Hillary. Yeah.
One of the worst things
So-
he said was
Don't
about
do that, Hillary.
a woman in a beauty contest.
I mean, I
He
love all
loves
people.
beauty
I love us
contests,
all.
supporting them and
You
hanging
know,
around them.
it's
And
Couldn't
he
play
called
that.
this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Where did you find
And
it?
she has become a U.S. citizen, and you can bet she's going to vote this November.
Okay, good. Let me just tell you.
I mean, we love all
Mr.
people,
Trump,
right?
let me
Take 10 seconds and then
You
we're going to have
know,
the final question.
Hillary is hitting me with tremendous commercials. Some of it said in entertainment. Some of it said somebody who's been very vicious to me, Rosie O'Donnell. I said very tough things to her, and I think everybody would agree that she deserves it, and nobody feels sorry for her.
I mean, you know, it's only Rosie, people. It's only Rosie.
Just Rosie. Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And you know what? I actually felt sorry for John Goodman that he had to play on the show with her. That guy was actually a pretty good comedian. John Goodman. Oh, but one of my most favorite actors of all, and he was really based. People didn't get to see him. He wasn't an outspoken public figure, was John Candy. John Candy was great. I used to love to watch that big guy with his cigar. Uncle Buck.
Yeah, no.
Anybody remember
No,
that?
okay. Hold on. I gotta clarify something real quick. It wasn't. He's talking Rosie O'Donnell, not Roseanne Barr. Just saying.
Yeah, only Rosie.
Right.
There's a difference between the two.
You're right.
I'm like sitting there. I'm like,
Oh,
my
my
brain's
God. My brain went
throbbing,
there.
trying to think of the right answer. I'm like, no, that's not right. But point
I
taken.
can pull a picture up of Rosie. I don't know if
Dang.
people want to see Rosie, but I can pull a picture up of Rosie.
Dang it.
And again, when you see the picture, you'll understand why. And nobody thinks anything otherwise. She deserves it.
Oh, that one. Yeah, John. Sorry. He got me. John Candy was so funny. He was really, he had a heart. That man had a heart of gold.
This lady right here.
He was Canadian too, by the way.
Yeah, but this
Rosie
is
O'Donnell.
Rosie. This is Rosie, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Rosie O'Donnell.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
The creature from the Black Lagoon.
God knows.
I like the picture that you pull up in the caption that actually comes over to the side.
Oh my!
This Rosie O'Donnell showed to return. Oh, the other one said Rosie O'Donnell, something about Trump that Trump
Kills her
impeachment poll.
Hey man, when he went into the principal's office and told the principal off and told her to go down to the pet store, and he threw her a quarter and told her to go get a rat and all that thing off. Hey, I like to come out of my chair laughing. I really did. He was awesome. Those movies, they don't make content like they used to. Look at the content right now that is flopping. HBO just crashed. Seriously, Netflix crashed. Disney, people, look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I heard that for years. I've got a shelf so full of all the old Disney movies. And nobody really knows. A lot of people have no idea just how crazy, how insane, how sick Walt Disney, the man, really was. His content creators were some of the best people ever to come along, the greatest talent. I mean, does anybody remember the Man of 1,000 Voices? Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc done Bugs Bunny. He done Daffy Duck. He done all of the Looney Tune characters right by his damn self. Mel Blanc was awesome.
So, okay, real quick here. Ouroboros says people never looked at his friends and whom he hangs around with. Most don't even know that he and the Clintons were good friends. Well, the thing is he was really good friends with a lot of people. There's so many people that you can actually find him standing next to, shaking hands, that had turned on him the second that he even attempted to do anything. The second he come down that golden escalator, that there's people that immediately turned on him and said, "Oh my Lord, not this
Friends.
guy." So, right, like close friends that he had actually assisted with many things, and it's just amazing
how that turned out.
Right, how many turned
too?
on him for what he had actually, had attempted to do. So
yeah, one of the first people that led a protest in front of the White House when Trump got in, you want to know who that was?
Tell it.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell. I was about to say, yeah, Rosie
Just
O'Donnell.
Rosie.
Like big
Just
letters.
Rosie. Yep.
She has like a small group of like 20 people. And she's up there at the microphone. And she's just like going completely batshit.
I mean, do you know what was the first the first content that came out of America that was I don't know how many of you would remember it. I used to sit up and catch the late night show, late night at the Apollo, and the comedians would come out. They would rub their hands on the little drum thing and come out on stage, and they either got the cheers from the crowd or they got the cane, the hook to pull them off, and booed off the stage, and they'd bring on the next one. People have forgotten what it's like to really be offended or to be put off, to be canceled that way. No, we don't have to have it. And they're really wiping the floor with comedians nowadays. And look at Dave Chappelle. Richard Pryor was one of the greatest comedians of all time, besides George Carlin. I love these men to death.
Oh, George Carlin.
Oh my God, George Carlin was a journalist himself. His mom and aunt worked for the New York Times. One of them was an editor. One of them wrote the Sunday Funnies. If anybody ever read the damn newspaper, I doubt people read it anymore. The newspaper isn't very popular anymore. But the Sunday Funnies, the cartoons that came on, his mom produced that for years and years and years. Peanuts. Charlie Brown. George Carlin was one of the best journalists and editors. And a lot of people don't even know that. He was just a comedian. And he'd stand up on stage and offend people and say some things they thought was just screwed up, but he got the most cheers. Oh my God, wait a minute. We witnessed Robin Williams commit suicide. He was, in his home life, he was a drunk. People don't know what he faced as a comedian. People don't know the trauma that he faced inside because of watching things go. I'll never forget watching him go on the late night show and talk about the Roe versus Wade case. It really hit him hard. People don't know these things.
No.
I don't mean to become emotional. I'm sorry. I'm gonna straighten up, but
there's so many people that don't realize what all these people actually did, the stuff that they said. It's just amazing. I'm going to see if I can't find something here. You guys go ahead.
I think everybody here has a gray hair too. That's pretty good. Y'all should remember some of these. These were some of the most amazing people in the world. I wasn't joking when I said that we here in the state of North Carolina has produced a lot, but the United States, we've produced the world's greatest talent. We brought out the best of all the world. Talent that would not have been seen otherwise because of the kingships, the rulers over them in other countries that come here. We brought the best out in people for a long time, and they're ruining it to shit now. Richard Pryor was one of the greatest comedians. I'll never forget him standing on stage and telling about how crack ruined him. And he struck a match one day and had lit his hair on fire, and he was running down the road. He looked like a matchstick on fire running down the road. He made it the biggest joke ever. I almost fell out of my seat laughing, but that was a real story about him. Excuse me. I remember all of these people. Sinbad died, gone on, bless his, God rest his soul. Sinbad had stand on stage until
This is
the
one
most
of the
profound
my
things.
favorite clips right here of Robin Williams. This is the best thing ever.
We still have comedy,
When it
though. We
caught
still
on
have
fire,
great
that's
comedy
right.
out there. There's always rambling
Forever,
Joe Biden. What the
I'm
fuck?
trying to read my eyes is a little
Joe
glassy.
says
Go
shit
ahead,
that even
Robin
people with
Williams
Tourette's
there.
go, no.
Did everybody
We
catch
still
that?
have comedy, though. We still have great comedy out there. There's always rambling Joe Biden. What the fuck? Joe says shit that even people with Tourette's go, no. No. What is going on? Joe is like her uncle who's on a new drug and hasn't got the dosage
Yeah,
right.
what the fuck?
I'm proud to
Oh
work
my
with
God,
Barack America.
Robin
He's not a
Williams is
superhero, you
he
idiot.
was a
Come here.
beautiful man
When
inside.
FDR was on television, there was no TV back then. Come here, goat. Sit down.
It's all yeah,
We
that's
still have
all.
That's the best clip ever of Robin Williams. I mean, seriously, of him actually calling out Joe Biden as the rambling idiot that he really seriously is and always has been.
And you look at
people
Joe.
still forget about this stuff. They don't pay attention, and they're like, Orange Man bad. I guess I'll just vote for the other guy. Everybody that voted for the other guy, straight out.
Look at Joe Neerman, the lawyer. I like his show. He's a pretty good guy. But
I
he
love
comes,
Joe.
one of his intros when he first got started and people started watching him kind of, he comes on with the good evening, everybody. because he watched Robin Williams do Vietnam, the movie Good Morning Vietnam.
Yep.
And Robin Williams had come out with that, and he was a ball of fire. Good morning, Vietnam. I mean, I can name names and take people back to thought, mind, and memory. And you'll look at the word, you'll just cry. I miss these people. I do. I loved them. I remember my childhood coming up. I have not forgot one damn thing, people. Everything is, I can recall, and it's better than watching the TV when I sit and just think and remember. I can remember the shows. I can, oh my, Rodney Dangerfield. Let's call his name. What a comedian. What an actor and a comedian he was. That guy was base. I mean, I can call names till this time tomorrow and not get finished till this time next week, and these people were awesome to me. I love people of all kinds.
AmericaShirts, what do you got here? What's this clip that you want to do?
Well, we were talking Rosie there for a little bit, and then we kind of went into like a little bit of comedy stuff, and I was like, and I did bring up that she was one of the first people to try and protest Donald Trump, and so this is kind of, well, I guess you could say this is kind of like my version of a little bit of some comedic relief here.
This is not Russia.
Kind of crossed with the pain being viewed as entertainment, but it is what it is.
Of white, privileged, criminal businessmen.
We don't really pay attention to
To
what's
say to him, yet, sir, yet. No, we won't. We've seen what you have.
Look at her. I want you to know, people, they call us extremists. They're calling us extremists. You look at her standing up there doing that. And it's hilarious to me. Yeah. I can laugh at that.
And I said a lot of bad things about her, and nobody regrets it, and she deserves it. And then as soon as he gets the president, she's just like right smack damn up there. She's like,
John Apocalypse. That's good. I'm not gonna read it out, but yeah, that's good.
Oh my God.
Not every day, but from time to time, Minyo.
Sinbad whale noises.
Yes, whale noises.
Yeah, really. I mean, I'll think of somebody else in a minute, y'all. I mean, jeez,
T in
man.
Tennessee. What was the context to that? That was her. She was standing outside. She was one of the first protesters.
Won.
Yeah, but that was because Trump won. You know,
Right.
I mean, I remember when Trump won, there were the leftists come out talking about how people had to leave their jobs so that they could go get mental
Supposedly
therapy.
he won in 2016 anyway. There's some controversy behind that, but he did win. He did serve for the 4
Oh yes,
years.
we're not allowed to talk about elections, of course.
Right.
Exactly. So when
Democrats
it comes
have
down to it,
always won.
we are saying Joe Biden is the most legitimate
Republicans are
president
illegitimate.
ever
There
with
you
the most votes. Period. Just so
Louis
everybody
Anderson.
understands.
Somebody made a comment there a little bit ago. Some of the best books I've read. Auto Bias by comedians. Louis Anderson and Tim Allen. I mean, I used to love to watch his show, Tim the Toolman Taylor. I mean, look at wait a minute, who else was just passed on here recently? He was America's dad to a lot of kids in front of the TV show at night. America's Funniest Home Video, and the name of that show.
Hold up 1 second.
Okay.
Thank you to, and I don't want to say the name straight out because when it comes over on PayPal, it gives like an actual name, and I don't want to dox them. Thanks for the $25 donation. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank
Taylor.
you
Okay,
for your
Taylor,
donation.
Don't this time. It's fine,
But
Taylor. You don't
there were certain people on the TV that really had a big impact and a big wager on people's hearts. One of them just died here recently. They found him in a hotel. The back of his head busted in. They said that he failed. I loved him to death. He was a really based guy. And another one died of cancer. Mr. Alex Trebek, I'll actually call his name. He done Jeopardy for the longest time, and I listened to this man speak on TV, and the way that he talked, the way that he answered questions and put questions to the people on there, I mean, I love the way that man talked and how kind he was and the way that he spoke. That was a big influence in my life. Dan Aykroyd. I mean, I can call names all day and we can talk about the things of old and look at the content now being produced. This is not a joke, people. We're not a joke.
There's
we
a couple people
the
throwing
people.
some names for us. Bob Saget.
Yeah,
Tim
I was
Kennison.
with Bob Saget. I weren't going to call his name because that's such a controversial thing right now, and they didn't want it.
Oh, we can say
known.
rest in peace. That's pretty much about it. But
Right.
Yeah, there's controversy behind it. Alex
Right.
Trebek.
But I loved him. These guys were great, and America watched them for years and years. I watched America's Funniest Home Video. My kids grew up watching the family show that they done. I mean, come on, Urkel was the greatest show ever for a while. There was All in the Family. There was the Bill Cosby show. Look at the scandal he went through. Bless his heart. Not saying that that he didn't do any of those things allegedly, but just saying Bill Cosby was one of the greatest comedians. I'll never forget. He done the stand-up. Kids say the darndest things, and don't they? Oh,
I remember
my
that.
God.
That was awesome. It was so
awesome,
funny.
dude. It was so good. It was so good.
It was one of it was such a good time back then. We seriously the shit that we'd grown up to was so much better than with the stuff that all this woke bull snap that they're throwing at us nowadays. It's really
man.
disturbing. Here you go.
Well, the Democrats' way of running this country.
One of my
tell us
favorite,
more.
good,
I
not one. I keep saying that one of my favorites, but
But they're all
excuse me.
I'll
I'll say.
the hill to the poorhouse. We ain't gonna be able to drive over there because we ain't got no gas, so we're gonna have to walk it. My whole point is this whole thing with the energy and everything. This is all a conspiracy. You know that is a conspiracy. Listen, for years, all our lives, they've been telling us to go out and buy stuff that use energy. Like electric toast, electric
rant.
electric stereo, electric TV, electric race, electric hair blower, electric knife, electric every damn thing. Not to mention the cars. And now, after all the big corporations there make the billions and billions of dollars worth of profits, signals, wham, they're changed. And after telling us for years that we can't live without this junk, now they tell us that we gotta live without it. The country is going straight into the dumper.
I had to mute my mic so I can laugh. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh my God! Listen at him.
Oh my God! Everyone does realize what that was, right?
Exactly, me and you.
Yes.
People were saying the truth way back when, and nobody was actually listening to them.
Nobody was listening. They were taking it as a joke. They were just laughing about it, and it was great comedy. But that's when they were telling the truth. Yeah.
But I mean, that video in particular, you guys do know what that video was, right? Like you did see his face.
Yeah. You can whoever did.
Yes, I mean
Trump's
it's
face
gold.
over the top of Archie Bunker. Did
Archie
a wonderful
Bunker
job.
was classic, and Red Fox was another one. I mean, he was great. He was great.
It was Donald Trump's face deep faked onto his.
Deep faked onto his.
Was.
Yeah,
It
that was a great meme. Whoever found that and put that meme together was brilliant.
That's from a channel on YouTube called The Fakening. It's
right.
all one word.
Yeah. I'm literally in tears. You're killing me, Jules. It's killing me too. Like I say, I would rather laugh. I'm trying to help us laugh and bring back memory and recall to people instead of cry about these things where we stand at today. I mean. I'm trying to go back and keep us in a good spirit here, and uplift people. I love to lift people. I lift up our people all the time. I don't call them by groups and to say black people, Indian people, white people, Asian. No, I call us our people. That's why we're America. We built this. They built this. And look at what they're doing to it now. But if we could go back in time just a little bit and have a memory of it. I remember what was that? Let's see. Anybody remember Tony Stanza? He done, what was that show he done with Murphy Brown, where he was the maid and she worked. Can anybody? Does
Tony Danza?
Stanza. Yes. I said Stanza. Tony. Yeah, but
Tony Danza.
I can't think of the name of that show right off. Who's the Boss? I mean, that was one of the first woke shows. I don't want to just call it that, but it showed the transition of where we were heading, where men stayed home now and women have the jobs, the executive jobs.
Look at the daughter.
Look at the difference.
Look at who the daughter was, and look how much of an activist she is nowadays.
Yes, that's the very. I was going to get to that and point that out. Thank you. You took it right out of my mouth. That was perfect. That was perfect, because I was going to get there. And that guy was awesome. That guy, Tony. and Murphy Brown, and she's also the one that took
Judith
the
Light.
case. Yeah, took the case Brown versus the Board of Education. Does anybody know about that? I mean, I can talk for days. I have a plethora of knowledge on. I mean, I've lived, and a lot of people now, these young people now, spend their days with their heads down on their phones, talking to each other and doing social media. I actually fucking lived back then before we had phones. I didn't get a phone or a device until I was 19 and I could afford my own. I got my license when I was 18. I could afford my own damn insurance. Mom and dad didn't sign for us. We struggled. We bought our first bathtub off of pecan money, picking up pecans and working the fields. I grew up poor. My mom and dad raised 4 boys. We almost eat them out of house and home. That's not a joke. My mom and dad had it tough. They both worked production jobs, trying to make ends meet, fussing at each other all day long when they come home in the evening time because they were trying to make ends meet, struggling financially. The upper class were ruining the middle class, robbing us of every good thing that we had at the time. And now look at where we're at. Man, my brothers were raised pretty good, but we grew up poor, and we were so poor that we couldn't tell that we were poor. We had food in our mouths. We worked the fields. We had an honest day's wage. We got our asses busted for doing wrong. The truth used to mean something. And if you didn't tell the truth, you got your ass handed to you. And you respected your elders. You didn't just talk over them. You listened to them when they were talking. I remember when we could leave our doors open, our windows open at night, our doors open. We could leave the house and go to work and come home, and everything was still there. And they're robbing us blind today. I remember. Do you? You people?
Oh, I remember so much. It's ridiculous. I mean, and I kind of told you my personal stuff or whatever a little earlier, show or whatever. That I grew up with 2 parents. It was great having 2 parents, but they worked their asses off every day for anything to give us everything that they possibly could, but they were never there. They were never there to actually physically take care of us because they had to actually go to work. By the time they were done with work, after working a 10, 12-hour day, they were so damn tired, they'd cook us dinner and they'd go to bed. They didn't pay attention to what we were doing in school. They didn't pay attention to any of that. And that's why, I say me and my brothers were so messed up. I lost an older brother to suicide back in 98. I went through a long, hard road of doing things that I shouldn't have done. Drugs, going into jails, doing all this stupid crap.
Real quick, read her comment.
Which one?
10 Tennessee. Read
Koolfrogg,
her comment.
I'm the one with the career. My husband is home retired police detective, and we are both good with that. It's not always bad. No, it's not always bad.
I love you. I love you.
The thing is that some of us had harder times where, though we thought that that's what was supposed to happen. Me being the age that I am now, I'm home, being the at-home dad to my child so that he actually gets raised properly and has a correct education, as opposed to being
I wasn't calling that out as to say anything about it.
I am.
That's great.
I am. I'm just saying it's not always, they always call out, two-person, two-person family, household or whatever. 2 parents in the household is always the best. Yeah, it is always the best, but the way things are going is not going to get any easier. And these kids these days are really going to get screwed when they find out that their parents, because they're working 2 jobs, 3 jobs a piece, that they can't actually be home to take care of their children correctly, and their children are going to be put into these daycares and these schools, and they're going to be taught this CRT crap or whatever, and how to identify at such a young age that they're indoctrinating these children faster than you can think because of what they're doing to parents.
Right.
Everybody needs to kind of wake up to some of it and actually realize that it's always best to have two parents, and it's always best to have a job piece or whatever, and actually make things work out for the best. But I'll tell you right now, the way I'm going through stuff right now, it's actually the best for my child. My child will be raised properly, and he will actually have an education that won't be told that he needs to identify as something that he doesn't need to worry about until he's 18 years old. Sinbad says my brother too in 99, same day. Oh, sure.
Well,
I
I love the
it's
idea
disturbing.
of the career woman or women that can do that when they've had the kids and they've got a great job, or if they don't have kids, that you have that choice. I'm glad that y'all agree together, and hey, that should be okay. That's great. But the way that these young women now, they're literally giving young women a career, literally giving them opportunity, and men are falling to the wayside steadily through education and through the system. And we've got a lot of women looking down on men if they don't match that income, or women look up to marry up, men marry across and down. I've heard a lot of these things coming out now, and the gender pay gap between men and women, and all of these things are coming up in our faces because a lot of people don't understand. It's a lot of young people that are just voicing out. And I'm not knocking any of the older people. You understand, you're willing, you love your husband, you're willing to take care of him because he's taking care of you. He's retired. That's a work in progress. That's excellent. I applaud you. I applaud y'all as a couple, as a family, as a husband and as people together, making that work, partners. That's awesome. I can't applaud that enough. But there are too many people now that are putting people down because they might not have, or they've got a base job and she makes more. And I mean, the way that people put things in each other's faces, it's hard. They've robbed the working man. We used to work the fields. Men used to have labor jobs. Now there's one farmer in the field with the best tractor and does everything almost by himself. The working man is no longer the working man. We've made things so easy and women are able to join the workforces and be part of it all too. And now they're also looking down on us like we ain't shit, like men ain't shit. And that's hard. That's hard. And they're so sad. We're so sassy at each other, smart asses, smart aleck, to say a thing. This is not a joke, and it hurts. And people don't realize that. They're just ready to use their mouth. And it's hard, people, and I'm talking a lot too. Play George Carlin.
Well, you got speaking of, you guys are talking about the working and all that kind of stuff, and how they were taking away the wealth from the average individual. Well, as George Carlin would like to say, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
And you ain't in it, folks. And that dude.
Yeah, exactly. That dude knew how to actually put on a show, and it was great. Everybody loved him. It didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter what he had said. Everybody just be like, "Oh wow." He was just so smart and so intelligent on what was actually happening in the world, and everybody just thought he was just a comedian. He wasn't just being a comedian. He was trying to actually spread the word the best he knew how, and he spit a lot of truths.
The value. of a quality relationship and putting in the work seems to have dissipated. People like a quick fix nowadays, and there's more opportunity due to technology. You're absolutely right, Jim.
Well,
excuse my voice.
With that, I do have to go now.
Well, I was
It
just
is
going to say, so
3
being
hours.
that you're running out of voice, Mr. Voice, and America Shirt says that he has to kick out pretty soon here, I think we should just call it a night.
It's 3 o'clock.
Right, exactly. It's early, or it's late in the morning, depending on however you look at it or whatever. It's only 1 o'clock for me, but for these guys, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Oh, well,
being that-
you know, whatever. You know,
I
you-
don't actually have.
I'm great.
Mountain time.
I don't
whatever.
actually have
Nobody
one
believes in
file
that.
that I use to actually close down the show. So before we go, everybody make sure you check out AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com.
Yes, AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. Use promo code Koolfrogg to save 15% on any shirt in the store. Go check that out, AmericaShirtsAreFirst.com. It is up and running. And again, tell me how it goes. Tell me how it went if you choose to buy. Leave a review, talk about it in the chat, leave me leave Discord message, whatever. I have that email there. It's AmericaShirts@protonmail.com. And you can tell me how all of that purchasing goes. And and again, check me out on Rumble, America Shirts, capital A, capital S, all together, one word on Rumble. You search it, you'll find it. It'll be there. It's also in the description of this live stream / video. And
You've been a beautiful audience.
And of course, if you're over on Rumble and you're
Yes,
actually
yeah.
subscribing to America Shirts, make sure you hit up Koolfrogg. I'm also have my own channel over there. If I was hoping that we were going to be streaming to it tonight, for some reason something did not work. This video will be there eventually. I'm going to have to do the upload tonight after I finish here and download it. As well as check out buymeacoffee.com/Koolfrogg. There is a PayPal link that's down below as well. That being said, Mr. Voice, is there anything that you'd like to say before we kick out?
Well, I thank every one of you for affording us the attention, affording me some attention, I guess. And I'm always in the chats too, and I'll be in the chats. I'm not here to promote myself or a channel or anything like that. I promote these guys. I was thankful to be able to come on tonight. You guys are awesome. And I love people. I try to lift up the chat and lift up everybody and speak to everybody when I'm in chats. And I'm just a regular guy. And I thank each and every one of you. And Williams is right. There's an amazing amount of young black YouTubers who do reaction streams who love George Carlin. I watch the reaction streams of many people.
Oh, yeah.
I click the like button. I watch the reactions of people. Forget about what they're watching. I've probably already watched it. I watch the reaction of people and how they react to the truth and things as they are, so y'all have a wonderful night. Love each and every one of y'all.
Later, everybody.
Yep. Later, peeps. Thanks for showing up.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.